Heyo! Welcome to Peter M, aka Crushing Krisis, organizes my X-Men Part 2. Peter, how are you today?
I am well. It is a beautiful spring day here or no, not spring. Spring for you, autumn for me here in New
Autumn,
Zealand.
okay.
Yeah, and it's an intense X-Men week, isn't it? Last week we got the announcement of the new lineup of X-Men books. Tomorrow we get the animated series, and you and I are on a little X-Men stream on very fine condition later this week. It's going to be fantastic.
That's right. I after this, I can either tell you what my choices are, or I can text them to you. I do have them picked out, and it's not what you think.
Oh, so yeah, so it's a mutant-filled week here on the internet for me.
Yeah, I saw that you referred to yourself as the Howard the Duck of YouTube. Everywhere.
Well, right, because Howard the Duck, he kind of turned into one of those cameo favorites where everybody wants to put him in the background of a panel, but he had to go so long without having books. And I just recently did a guide for him, and I'm like, here we go, another issue where Howard the Duck is just in the background, like eating a sandwich. That's his appearance, and but that's part of the fun of it, I think.
Yeah, and Now, as far as the chat goes, I won't be able, while we're organizing, I won't be able to get to many questions. Peter will be addressing questions, attacking people as he feels necessary, things like that.
I'll keep them in line.
Awesome. And the first question I'm going to answer is Nathan Burkholz, who wrote the intro song, and he's asking if I own Cyclops and Dad in Space by Rucka. That question's going to be answered.
It's a great series, highly overlooked, in my opinion.
That's good to know. I read it and loved it. Oops, I gave it away. Here's Crushing Krisis in the chat. Bob, very fine. Omar doesn't know the reading order of Marvel now. Boom, shots fired. I love it. So let me just say hi to various people in the chat. I have to acknowledge Arya because I don't think I posted this video within 30 seconds. And he already posted hello, so he's always on top of it. Johnny's here. Huff Dealey, I won't dox you. Munen's here. Netherlands, so he's going to catch it later. Okay, bye. Freddie. Driving home after 12 hours at a rum plant. What's up with you? A rum plant. Thank you, Fifth of Jack. Here's Max.
Hey, Max.
I made Max a mod. When did I do that? James, of course. Super Lavard. Krisis is the coolest. I agree.
We love alliterations and misspellings here.
No puns today. Oh, okay. Here's misspelling.
I already messed
up. That's okay. Pun away. Okay, Krisis already put James in his place on that one. Continuity might have been an example of a missed opportunity. Well, that's true. You will be impressed, Huff, or I will have a mod kick you out.
I don't know if we can top last time. We were really in my sweet spot last time in that 2001 through 2009. I really know my X-Men cold. And there, now we're going 2010 to, I don't even know. I have no idea what the newest thing on his shelf is. So this could get tricky, but I will do my best to steer us well. If we get all the way up to Krakoa, things are going to get wild.
It's okay. Krakoa, I have, where'd you go? Okay, well, until we get him back, Chris is here. Tobias, what up? Vision 940. Nice. You okay? Oh, you're typing away.
Got so nervous about Krakoa reading order, I just went straight out.
Beyond Comics, what up? John George, welcome. Hayden, always a flatterer, and tonight's episodes of Hunks of the Vault, Hunks, Hair, and Hardcovers. Right on, Hayden.
Well, I'm glad I brought some hair.
You got the hair. You're rocking that.
You give me the hunk, I will be the hair.
The Phoenix Omnibus is in the other room. Both of them.
The
But I'm
Phoenix
gonna
Omnibus is the answer to every question tonight. Every question we ask, the answer is the Phoenix Omnibus.
Okay, so yeah, I know. You're welcome for the Krakoa bus that's going to happen because of me. Edwin's here. Thank you for showing up. Psycho Mantis, welcome. Oh, here's Kane, my cookie buddy. Nice, good to see you. I don't want Peter to behave. I want Peter to misbehave. That's part of the fun. It's a super chat. Hi again, Nathan. Writer of all my music. Peace and love from Sweden. Oh, Elon's here. Nice. Peter, check out the present that Elon sent to me. He gifted me this.
Kia ora.
This Peanuts Swatch watch.
Oh, Lucy.
Yeah. Everybody's favorite fuss budget. Elon sent this to me from Wales.
That is cool.
That's a great gift. Thank you, Elon. I wanted to show it off again, especially somebody who knows peanuts like Peter does. Okay.
I was more of a Bloom County and Outland comic book reader. I'm always tempted. They have those beautiful. Do you have any of those beautiful hardcovers of those?
For
I'm
peanuts?
Always tempted.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of Berkeley Breathe's work on Outland and Bloom County.
I do have Bloom County. I don't have the hardcovers. I have softcover editions there upstairs.
Love that. It just was so absurd. I think that some of my love of absurd humor came from just being able to open any newspaper, which I was addicted to. I was really into journalism and communications as a kid, and just opening any newspaper and the sheer absurdity of that. Maybe a little bit less of a political lean than Doonesbury, which was a little bit, I think, harder to understand as a little kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Opus was great. Mary's here. Nice to see you. Doesn't get better than Jess in Krisis on a Tuesday night after work. Oh, you are in a hunk video in the vault. There's a you are considered a hunk, so you're in the hunk channel in my Discord. I forget what you're saying though.
I'm in the hunk channel.
Yeah, you are, dude. You're a hunk. You got rock star hair.
I might need to see what's going on in the Discord. I'm a little.
Don't worry. I monitor my Discord. It's all complimentary. I think it's when it's something from the first Marvel Evergreen stream.
My White Snake hair toss.
I think you're yelling at me about something, and it's very funny because I'm cracking up.
I think people get this. I just think they think that you and I just like to yell at each other because a lot of people only really know us from our appearances in Europe.
That's true.
They don't know how far back us just like chatting with each other and having in-jokes and things goes. And they just see the yelling part, which honestly, I think is a very funny bit that we do.
Oh, I think so too.
But it just goes to show you how even in the world of people who watch things on the internet, like they don't even, that's just the tip of the iceberg of the Peter and Jess continuity, which is all like almost a decade long at this point.
Yeah, it really is. We have been talking for a long before you even moved. Yeah,
because you were going to come and hang out in Philly, and then it just didn't
work.
And I wait for you to come to New Zealand.
I know. I want to do that for sure. Scared of bees. Welcome.
And I think Scared of Bees, you've got a good point there. Everybody, and I'm seeing a lot of it this week with the new X-Men era coming and with the cartoon, everybody says, well, I like X-Men, but I don't know where to read it, or I don't know what it means, or there's just so much continuity. Yeah, I mean, we can't lie and say that there's not, but any good comic can be a first comic book. And I think people get over obsessed with this idea of good starting places or clean starting places. The comic with the coolest cover and the coolest cast is the best place to start. And I always tell the story that my first X-Men comic was literally Chris Claremont's last issue, X-Men 1991, number 3. So I literally started the worst place you could start, which is the issue that was the culmination of 16 years of writing. And I thought it was really damn cool. So this is fun because this is the way that Justin and my brains work. But you could pick any one of these good books off the shelf and really enjoy it. And what we're going to try to do is not be so dogmatic about you have to read everything in this order, but talk about like what's interesting about each book. And if you hear something interesting, just go read that book. Get it on Marvel Unlimited, get it on, Amazon Digital, and just read that one book and see if you like it.
That is an excellent point. And underneath in the description box, I have a link to Krisis's page, which is full of incredible reading orders and drag race stuff.
A little bit of Drag Race. Yeah.
We're
in the heavy Drag Race season. It's the monsoon season for Drag Race at the beginning of each year. There's like 4 consecutive seasons. Actually, simultaneous, not even consecutive.
So
you've got my comic reading.
Yeah, you've got a lot of interests that are interesting. So yeah, go to Krisis, crushingkrisis.com. It's the link is down below. Reading orders for DC and Marvel and everything. And we are in Peter's wheelhouse now with X-Men. And I already know that I misplaced some books there that I need to change around because
oh boy, messing up the order from last time.
No, I left that alone. I left the shelf has been sitting there the whole time. I've been afraid to touch it, but I brought up some stuff and I realized I'm going to have to unplug here because I'm going to be moving around.
Oh boy.
So let me go over and move. I got a big chunk of Wolverine books that are in the middle of stuff for no reason. So let me move those.
Well, I think what might be a good place to start for people who've missed our last episode previously on Krisis and Omnidog Explore the X-Men. Why don't you point out where we organized to? Whereabouts did we stop on that shelf last time?
Okay, I have an echo, but nobody else does, and you don't. So I'm going to okay, good. I'm going to.
Oh, well, now you've just muted yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did you just say that, Huff? You did that before I even unplugged. Where are you? What the heck? How did you know that was going to happen? Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. Freddie does.
Sounds fine to me. I'm sure that this chat will let us know as soon as we start doing something wrong. They're on it.
Okay, let's see if I can. Now, I apologize. The StreamYard video of the books is on my phone, and StreamYard's not 1080. It's 720, so the resolution's not that great, but I'll try to pick it up, and we'll go over what we've organized. So excuse me for a second. Let me get this Wolverine stuff out of the way. And we'll deal with it in a minute.
Oh no! Oh no! Well, if that happened on my camera, it would mean there was an earthquake. But on Justin's camera,
still stands, so it's cool. No, that was just a typical Jessquake. So all those hardcovers need to be. Oh, now you're gonna have fun with these because now they're all gooped up. One second.
This is why in my office there's only sealed drinks allowed. I made the mistake one time. I was opening something that was like powdery. I forget what it even was, and it like exploded. I was like, "No, the books!" Like I had to get up like the containment tent, like we were in ET, and I had to make sure there was no exposure. So now in the office, and the other thing is sunlight. New Zealand has some of the strongest sunlight, and things fade here fast. I can't move my camera this far, but if you were to see this black chair that I'm on, part of the chair is almost turned like a rose gold color because it's so faded from the strength of the sunlight. So you don't see this. I guess I could turn up, but I have this big curtain on the top of this bookshelf that I actually pull down over it, and I close the shades because I don't want UV damage on all my spines. Now, this is a minor concern, and if you just like a normal office that doesn't have direct sunlight a lot of the day and you're not in New Zealand, your books are probably not going to fade that much over time. But UV damage is a thing. You can combat it not only by closing blinds. There's window decals you can put on that screen out UV, but also some of the book covers that people use, like the broad art book covers, do have UV protection as well. So if you're really, really obsessed on that level, there are things you can do. But I have learned from experience here in New Zealand, watching other things fade, that it's actually worth it for me to pay a little bit of attention to that.
Well, There was a show I did back in 2018 where I spilled Coke on my laptop. And that is now why my laptop is always on something now, well above the counter that it's on, because I ruined everything with that laptop with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big cook, and so I have my laptop by my side, either checking recipes or like watching comic stuff as I cook almost every night. And I spilled a whole jar of liquid into it last fall, which is why I disappeared from near mint condition streams for several months, because I totally wrecked my laptop and I had to get it repaired. All right, Jess. So where did we leave off? What is the newest spot on the shelf where we actually cogently organized a book?
We started. I want to see if I can get this. We started with X-Men Powerless and went through, this is the shaky cam, sorry. We went through Extreme X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Nightcrawler, Phoenix, Decimation, X-Men Childhood End, Supernova, Endangered Species, lots of Mike Carey stuff. Ghost Box.
Yeah, we got up through some Necrosha, New Mutants. I think we were like right around Second Coming when we left off last time.
Right. We finished down here.
Right, because we found a big stack of Legacy, and we were using Legacy to kind of set up what things looked like after Second Coming. So I remember we spread out some Legacy books.
Right. Legacy. I did have a question because I found this book after we organized Astonishing X-Men.
So let's talk about that one, right? Let's jump in. People have been patient for 15 minutes of our late night host monologue. Let's jump into some books. So Warren Ellis was writing Astonishing X-Men. Astonishing X-Men at that point was the prestige brand of X-Men. We had already had Joss Whedon with John Cassaday do the first 24 issues in the giant size issue. That ends literally seconds before Messiah Complex. And then Astonishing X-Men went away for a little while. Marvel brought it back with Warren Ellis writing it, another prestige writer, and also another rather slow writer. So it was not coming out at the same pace as everything else. Warren Ellis only did 2 main arcs on the book, but weirdly, this book with Carrie Andrews was actually meant to be an arc, and I don't know if it got so off schedule that they pulled it, or it was too weird and they didn't want to put it under the title, so they made it an Astonishing X-Men miniseries, which is like so weird and rude when you have an ongoing Astonishing X-Men book that's delayed. And so I think this is where they go to Africa to deal with something here, and it's a little strange. All of Ellis's takes on X-Men were just a little bit strange, but you can treat this as if it's just honestly another one more arc of Astonishing X-Men.
Should I put it next to Warren Ellis or just leave it right where it was, X-Men Extermination?
I thought we were past that era, but actually we have a little bit more to do there. Let me see.
Yeah.
So it's after his first one. Second, I would say yes, it should directly follow the second volume of Warren Ellis' Astonishing X-Men, which is called Exogenetic. The one in your hand is called Exogenesis.
Okay,
Even though it was released much later, it started releasing in July 2010, which was alongside Second Coming, which was kind of like wrapping up the first part of Utopia, just by virtue of the cast and the way they were behaving in it, especially with Wolverine being present. We kind of have to assume that it happened a little bit earlier. And that tends to be the case when there's these prestige authors on X-Men. Like, they're not always up to the very second of what the continuity is happening in the main books. They're writing their prestige story that they pitched a year ago, you know?
Okay, I found it. It's right before Uncanny X-Men 2.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, great.
All right.
Now,
Seen some interesting questions in the chat. One of them is, as a new reader, are the event books worth reading? Because they're so expensive to get as omnibus and hardcovers. So I think there's 2 different questions there, right? And Jess, I'm very interested to know what you think. Do you think, as somebody who's interested in only one Marvel line or character, whether that's Avengers, X-Men, Captain America, Spider-Man, do you think you should read all of the Marvel events? Or do you think the Marvel events are kind of their own beast?
I don't like a lot of events from either publisher. Well, I do like some of the DC events. I think it depends on the event. Are we? Did you ask me if a new reader, or are you just asking my opinion on Marvel events in general?
I'm asking, I guess, your opinion. Like I've seen you go all in on a big read of a certain Marvel line before Avengers or whatever. Do you really feel like you should keep up with every event during that read, even if the event is not like an Avengers event? You know?
Oh, if it's like a tie-in to
Yeah.
King Black and stuff, I guess it depends on the line. I read a bunch of things that had, just for an example, the King in Black event, and it went through like Black Cat and other things, Savage Avengers, and those tie-ins. I mean, they were good stories, but they didn't, in Black Cat and Savage Avengers. But I didn't feel like you needed to read them to know what was going on, like Black Cat.
Yeah, and
So
I think I come from a similar standpoint, is that unless the event spins out from the specific book you're reading at the time, you know, almost all Marvel events spin out of a specific title. Very few of them are just kind of plopped down wholesale, because it would be hard to sell anybody on that. So if you look at the whole history of Marvel events, almost all of them, you know, House of M emerges from Avengers Disassembled, and also from Astonishing X-Men and New Avengers. You know, King in Black emerges from Venom. So I would say don't torture yourself trying to read every single Marvel event if you don't want to. If you're really into that, they're a fun sampler because they stem from so many different books, right? But if you're just trying to like get to know the Marvel universe, or get to know X-Men, or get to know Avengers, I wouldn't feel like you have to track down everyone, because there's just so many. At this point, Marvel does 1 or 2 a year. So many of them have been omnibuses. I mean, you're looking, you know, over the course of 25, 30 years, a huge dollar commitment there. But Marvel Unlimited exists. So maybe that's the reason to subscribe to Marvel Unlimited, and just kind of sample the events and then collect the one line that you like really, really love.
yeah, for X-Men, excuse me, I have Age of Apocalypse that I kept, Prologue to Inferno and Inferno that I kept, and then I have custom bound Second Coming and Messiah War and Messiah Complex Omnis in the other room. So I'm because those are X-Men events, I kept those events.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That
Yeah, I
does.
had to make a choice.
We're getting a very slight echo now.
Oh, you are?
Very, very slight.
Okay.
So once you're done with that, why don't we grab some more books to put on the shelf, and then we'll answer a couple more questions.
Let me move my laptop and put the headphones on and see if that helps.
Yeah, I think the headphones are probably the magic bullet, even though that tethers you.
I can move it. I don't have
Puff
any.
says it's just a little reverb. Probably just makes you sound more
like a rock star, like you.
Yeah, bold and knowledgeable.
Okay, so
let's grab some more books. Let's do it. What are some more
you
books
want me to just grab a chunk?
Yeah, just grab some books.
This is a big
I think
mess.
next time we should get just to wear a GoPro on his head.
I think you're right. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna have to bring this in. Let's let's just grab what I've got here.
I mean, don't take off anything we organized already, dear
Lord. Oh no, I'm leaving that alone. Trust me on that. Let me take these books.
Oh yeah, that's good, because now we're crossing over into Marvel now. So let's start at the bottom of that stack and just see what we got and start talking some X-Men books.
Okay, good. Okay, I have the 2 Astonishing X-Men by Charles Soule.
Oh boy, so now we're way into the future. So we're gonna set those aside right now, but I want to give context. So there's what's known as the Resurrection era, spelled creatively, or also the Color era, because it had X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold, and X-Men Red in it. That came after IVX in 2017 in Humans versus X-Men. So we're past all of Marvel now, past Secret Wars, and then also past Civil War II at that point. So that's the 2 years immediately prior to Hickman. So anytime we come across anything from Color era, I'm just going to say Color era, and we're going to make a stack, and then we're going to come back to that later.
Okay. I have I have, oh my gosh, I have X-Men Blue down there. I didn't collect X-Men Gold because people told me not to.
I may have been one of those people.
I think you might have been, yeah.
All right, what else do you have in that stack?
The stack I have X-Men
Battle
Battle
of
of
the
the
Atom.
Atom.
All right, so let's talk about Battle of the Atom for a second. So Battle of the Atom was the first direct crossover in Marvel Now for X-Men. So let's define some of that terminology, right? When I talk about a direct crossover, I mean, and Marvel usually means this when they actually say it, they mean a certain issue continues directly to another issue. They're not all just an amorphous cloud of tie-ins. There's not one central event spine that things branch off of. You read it directly in the sequence, not being meant to skip all the issues. It was a line-wide crossover, but not every single X book in the line crossed over into it. I believe it was All New X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men, and also X-Men 2013, probably issues like 5 and 6. So we're going to use that as our first big signpost for Marvel Now, because there's a few trades worth of Marvel Now material that's going to happen before that. And that's really one of these great cadences where everything comes together. So why don't we put it at the edge of that kind of half empty shelf where we have things in order, but we'll put it all the way to the right, because I bet there's a bunch of other stuff we're going to find that goes before that. Now, in terms of, Now, in terms of the story, I don't know if I would recommend just jumping right into Battle of the Atom for people that are watching, because it deals with a lot of the continuity that kind of came up at the beginning of Marvel Now, especially the All New X-Men, which I know we're going to get to because I know Jess has some of those All New X-Men books.
I better go get those.
Yeah, it's really weird to characterize what Battle of the Atom is or why you should read it before we talk about what All New X-Men is.
Yeah, I will. Oh, we have a visitor here. Hello, sweetheart. Hi, sweetie. Do you want to come
look
in?
At that fluffy cat.
This is our neighbor's cat that has adopted
comes
us.
in your house.
Yeah, she's adopted us. Her name's Lily, and she's the queen. Hi, sweetie. Did you come in with mommy? Yeah, so she just goes around. She has a little water bowl that we set out for her. She's super sweet, but she's also very inquisitive. Why don't you go play with my action figures that are on the floor? This is the cat cam right now.
We're just cat cam. This whole show has just turned into cat cam now. We're just going to follow the cat.
There's the cat. Yeah. So let's see. Here's should I bring Inferno and stuff in too, or just Uncanny and All New?
Whatever you want organized on the shelf. It's your shelf, Jess. What's your vision?
Whatever you tell me is my vision. I have no vision. Okay. Like you're getting a big picture of something. Cat, I can't let you out right now. I'm on the air. Come on. What are you doing?
Sorry, I'm chatting away with the chatters.
Oh, please do.
We're talking in the chat about the idea of when there's like a original graphic novel or like a one-shot story that an author does, sometimes it can sit so far off to the side that you can't even tell if it's in continuity or not. And we're going to hit a couple of those on this X-Men shelf. The one we were all talking about in the chat is called No More Humans. I don't know if I'm not going to talk all about it because I don't even know if it's going to be here. But in those cases, it's almost like until somebody else references it or canonizes it, it's hard to even know where it goes in continuity because it's like it's so off to the side. It was meant to stand alone. Another great example of that is Avengers Endless Wartime, which was by Warren Ellis actually at the beginning of, oh gosh, I want to say it was during the Hickman run of Marvel Now of Avengers. But it's just so far off to the side of continuity or where it goes. And you have to kind of infer based on who's on the team and what costumes they're wearing and who's dead and who's alive. And so, comics, no, none of these, it doesn't seem like many of the comics offices at Marvel are actually releasing every single book with this like strict layout on the wall. They're kind of murder board of where everything connects to each other, aside for certain offices that are really known for that. Hickman is known for being like that. The Star Wars office is known for being like that because they have to coordinate all of the stuff with Lucasfilm that coordinates to all of the book novels and TV shows and cartoons and everything. But often the X-Men office not notable for making sure all of their stuff actually coordinates. And that's why we have fans like us to put it in coordinated order. Although Although I've heard Jordan D. White, the outgoing line editor for X-Men, say that he does have a PDF that has every issue of Krakoa in order, to which I say, Jordan D. White, release the PDF. We all want to know.
Release the PDF. I do.
All right, Jess,
I
have you collected all of the extant books? Oh, you have No More Humans.
I do.
Excellent.
I thought that sounded familiar.
Harry X-Men.
Oh, we have the Comic Slayer here. Nice. Lily is the coolest. She's still wandering around down here.
All right, Jess. Are we back?
Okay. Yeah. So I've got X-Men No More Humans. And I've
not-
got all new X-Men.
We still can't hear you. Maybe he
can't hear
us.
me?
He looks panicked. It's like a silent movie. Jess realizes no one can hear. Can he not hear us? Or can they not
I can hear
him?
you. You can't hear me?
Or has a spell of silence been cast all across the world?
I can hear Jess.
Maybe it's me. Could always be me.
It's not me, it's you. Can you hear me now?
There he is. Everybody's back together now. Okay.
All right. So I have Uncanny and All New here.
All right, so let's start talking about these. So we maybe skipped a few collections, but why don't you show the spines of those so people know these are OHCs, oversized hardcovers. So Marvel now starts after Avengers versus X-Men. Avengers versus X-Men took the majority of 2012 to come out. You can read it on its own. It is kind of the culmination of several years of plots in X-Men, but as a story, it kind of makes sense on its own. There's also a great companion volume that I believe just got recollected in a single omnibus, and I would say that it's really critical you read issues 11 to 20 of Kieran Gillen's Uncanny X-Men while you're reading AVX, because they really add a ton of context, and they're in that new omnibus. So then after AVX, the entire Marvel line is reborn. And it was one of those times that, especially right off of Flashpoint the year before at DC, people were really nervous that the Phoenix Force was going to mean all of Marvel was going to be rebooted into new continuity. Actually, there was no continuity change whatsoever. It was just the ongoing Marvel universe still being ongoing. Most people know Marvel now as the part of the Marvel publishing history that has Hickman writing Avengers, right? And leading up to Secret Wars. But there were things happening in every line in that period. And so in X-Men, the whole thing kicks off with Cyclops was kind of the linchpin of Avengers versus X-Men. He's kind of made out to be a villain, although your perspective on that may be different depending on how much you love Cyclops. And afterwards, there's this idea of mutants need to get back to basics. Like, let's get out of being isolated on Utopia. Let's get out of Cyclops being a villain. How do we get back to just being the mutants that we were before? Not too different than what's happening right now. And so Beast, in all of his infinite wisdom, decides to go back to circa X-Men issue number 8 from 1964 and bring all of the original 5 X-Men to the modern day to be like, what do you got? What do we ourselves think of what has become of this world? And that is what All New X-Men is. It launched at the end of 2012, is written by Brian Bendis. It was one of the 2 flagships of the line. And it is literally the boring white bread original 5 X-Men who have zero chemistry with each other, having adventures in the modern day. So it's a great read. I don't
these
like
books.
it. I despise them. I would give them a root beer bath if they were in my house.
I loved these books.
But this is why the world is full of different tastes.
Sure.
I wouldn't. So talk about why. So I kind of gave the context, but talk about why it's a good read. Why do you think they're a fun X-Men read?
Well, it features a lot of Emma, because I love Emma. So she's portrayed as a complete badass white queen in this. I loved, I think, Uncanny a little bit more than All New. I felt like All New didn't have a proper ending, if I'm remembering correctly, whereas Uncanny felt like a complete story. I just felt like, to me, I felt like Bendis got the characters and he wrote them in a way that I liked and had fun with.
And I think that is the one positive for it. There's so many people who do think of the original X-Men as the core of X-Men, even if they never were alive during the Silver Age. But there's not a ton of great stories with the 5 of them, other than Louise Simonson writing X Factor. And so it's kind of fun to see like good modern stories where they were all allowed to be characters. I think in the original Silver Age, which has its merits, but it's kind of just like 3 boys arguing over Jean and then Iceman. and it doesn't really have a whole ton of nuance in a lot of the issues, but Bendis really kind of moves them each in their own direction. You know, he kind of lays the track for Beast kind of never leaving well enough alone with his mad science, and he also does some magic. You know, he plays with Angel's kind of feelings of inadequacy that all he does is fly around, and he gives a lot more dimension to young Cyclops, which I think is probably the highlight of it for me, even as a series that I don't really love. And of course, it ends with Jean forcibly outing X-Men as gay. Folks, don't out your friends. So that is kind of thrumming along all throughout the Marvel Now period. But then there's another flagship too, which Jess also has there, which is Uncanny X-Men. Bendis was writing both. So Uncanny X-Men centered on Cyclops as this revolutionary leader who was going around finding all of the new mutants who were popping up as a result of AVX kind of kickstarting the mutant race again. So if you love Cyclops and you're looking for that like Cyclops is a badass, Cyclops is right era, that's these books. It's Uncanny X-Men by Brian Bendis. Heavy Cyclops, lots of magic, probably where magic like truly exploded in popularity.
Yeah, that's what I love, is how much magic is in this.
Yeah. And a lot of Emma.
Yeah, and a lot of Emma and magic, which I loved.
Yeah, and then all these, and Magneto in the white suit, which is I love.
Yeah.
So I like this book actually better than I like All New, and then also there's these new characters, right? There's Tempest, Triage, Gold Balls. There's all these new mutants that Bendis
Gold Balls
invents.
One of the greatest inventions.
Egg.
And then there's lots of Cuckoo Time. The art is great. I love the art throughout all this.
Irving, yeah.
I really, really loved. And here's Gold Balls, and as we speak, there he is.
So the tricky thing about trying to figure out how to put this on the shelf is that Cyclops, old Cyclops, current day Cyclops, not young teen Cyclops. Cyclops is kind of omnipresent in both books. And then after a while, Kitty Pryde starts being in both books a lot. And so they thread together, and they're both by Bendis. So they kind of are always happening. It's like All New X-Men 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Uncanny X-Men 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's like All New X-Men Uncanny, All New X-Men Uncanny for a while. And so you got to really look for the places where there's a cadence in the line that brings them all together. So Battle of the Atom is one of those places. So All New X-Men 16 and Uncanny X-Men 12 start Battle of the Atom. So if we were really being persnickety about how to put these on the shelf, we would probably put the first volume of Uncanny OHC and the first volume of All New X-Men OHC before Battle of the Atom, and then we put all the rest of them after Battle of the Atom. That isn't perfect, but again, it's because the issues are so braided together that there's no perfect way to do it, but that's a good general way to get them on your shelf.
Okay, so Uncanny, All New, and then Battle of the Atom.
And then the rest of Uncanny and All New.
Okay, let's make sure I don't yank my laptop down. Somebody did reference that it was effing Nemo that knocked my Coke over onto my keyboard back in 2018. I wish James could find that and clip it. It's a classic. Okay.
And then Jess will sit back down and tell us what's next in the stack.
Right.
Let me see what's going on in the chat, y'all.
Now,
Freddie's going off about All New.
I know. I saw that. I do have Inhumans.
Can we get me on a video with Freddie? I've never been on a video with Freddie before.
Yeah. Freddie's a great guest. Well, we can have him on next time if you want. We can have him on now if you want. That's fine with me.
Well, I think did we establish he's like in a car somewhere right now? I don't know. I forget.
Freddie, where are you? Freddie, do you want to join? That's fine. Let me send you an invite.
Oh, he's home and fighting the urge to sleep, which he said earlier. But I adore Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie's
so
great.
What's next on the stack?
Axis, Bold as Love.
Oh, yes.
Now, just so you know, I do have Avengers versus X-Men, The Companion, and Inhumans versus X-Men. They're in the other room.
Oh, Lord, Axis. Okay, so Axis, we were talking about how certain events spin out of certain books. Axis really spins out of Rick Remender's Uncanny Avengers. It's really the final arc of Uncanny Avengers. It bothers me so much to this day that they just decided to make it an event. It's like the final issues of his series lead right up to it, and then the series just ends because they moved it into an event. And even he later kind of like grumbled, like, I don't know if it really needed to be an event, which I happen to agree with. So it's weird to try to place it in terms of All New X-Men and Uncanny X-Men because they don't really tie into Axis. However, what we do know by a very complex process of elimination is that Axis happens before Black Vortex, which is in issue 38 of All New X-Men. And it's also before the last arc of All New X-Men, which is called the Utopians, which starts in issue 37. So I would probably put Axis. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Wait, what book did you just say?
Well, I'm talking about the names of the individual story arcs, which you'll have lumped together in the OHCs.
Was it the Inhumans book?
No.
Black Vortex.
It's call the Utopians and Black Vortex.
I have Black Vortex. Do I need to go get it?
No, not right now. I think I would put Access after your 4th All New X-Men oversized hardcover.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's no good way to put it in terms of the Uncanny X-Men oversized hardcovers because there's only the 2 of them. So, when you're working with bigger, thicker books, you got to just make some compromises.
Okie doke. Then we have.
So I saw Nathan already is chastising me that I said he doesn't need to go get Black Vortex. Maybe it was something else. Here's the thing. So Black Vortex, though it was advertised as one of these direct crossovers, many of the issues just read fine as a standalone. It's mostly the interaction between All New X-Men and Guardians of the Galaxy. So it doesn't and even in the OHCs of All New X-Men, they only collect the All New X-Men issues, which is actually really unusual for most direct crossovers, but it's sort of a nod to the fact that that was structured such that you didn't have to read every title. I mean, there's like a Cyclops tie-in, there's a Captain Marvel tie-in, but if you don't read Captain Marvel 14, you lose nothing for your understanding. So it's kind of a loose direct crossover, and if it's not in the stack right now, I don't think we have to go wild going to get it, because the information you need is already in the All New X-Men OHC. But if you do have Black Vortex, you can just put it right next to All New X-Men oversized hardcover volume 4, because that contains the issues from Black Vortex.
Okay.
Double dip.
Okay.
All right, what's next on the stack, my friend?
The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix.
Oh, we love a Phoenix. I actually love this book. So this is way old. This might be the oldest thing you've pulled. So it might go all the way to the left of the first shelf. Although it has a range of material in it, but what it primarily collects, and what was originally called The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, was Scott and Jean on their honeymoon, directly following the events of their wedding in X-Men 1991 number 30. They're on the beach, I think in St. Bart's, and they collapse into the water. And it's because Rachel Summers, as the mother Ascani in the far-flung future, has plucked out their psyches to have them be in the future to basically raise Cable in the future. It's actually really cool. It's like one of the first hard sci-fi X-Men stories, as it's really branching out in that way in the 90s. I believe it's Gene Ha on artwork. I just read it a couple months ago, and it's really neat. It's like dystopian X-Men, but with Jean and Scott, and with a young version of Cable. Now, that's not the only thing in that book. So, Jess, why don't you tell us the contents? Because I know there's a few other things in that book as well.
Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix 1 through 4. Ascani's Son 1 through 4.
Okay.
X-Men Phoenix 1 through 3. X-Men Books of Ascani, and material from Marvel Valentine Special.
Okay, so this is worth talking about. There's a second Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix series. It's not in here. Why? Because in that series, they go to the past and meet Mr. Sinister during his origins. What this book could have really been called is Cable and Ascani, because it basically follows Cable's development literally from infancy up until teenagerdom, which is what crosses through those books. Books of Ascani, the Ascani Son miniseries, they're all basically Cable's chronological story in the future before he ever gets old and wizened and comes back to our time. So in terms of what's the present day X-Men, the Cyclops and Jean are there after X-Men 30, but in terms of the timeline, it all occurs in the future. So I would put that probably all the way to the left on your shelf, because in terms of the present timeline, Scott and Jean head there after X-Men 1991 number 30.
So remind me again who Rachel Summers is.
Oh boy, my favorite character. Just
does she have an action figure? Otherwise, I won't know her.
She has a few. Okay, so we first meet Rachel Summers in Days of Future Past. At the end of John Byrne's run with Chris Claremont in Uncanny X-Men. She is the mutant in the future who is helping project the future version of Kate Pryde's memory back into the present day, but she doesn't really take part in the story. Then later in his run, about 35 issues later, Chris Claremont brings Rachel herself to the present day, and she begins interacting with the X-Men. Rachel knows that she's the daughter of Cyclops and Jean in her future, and so she is very confused when she gets back to the present day and discovers Jean is dead, and the Phoenix Force has already departed because in the future, Rachel inherits that power from her mother. So she even keeps it kind of low-key that she's Cyclops' daughter and doesn't tell him for a really, really long time. She goes off to be one of the founding members of Excalibur. And then eventually in Excalibur 75, they kind of send her back to the future in exchange for getting Captain Britain out of the time stream. And the way that they wrote it is that actually she went so far into the future, so far past where she was from in that Days of Future Past timeline, that she's actually now in the future where Cable was abducted to as a baby and raised. And so as Cable's sort of multiple reality alternate stepsister, half-sister, she is now responsible for raising and stewarding Cable. And that's what that book is. Was that enough X-Men time wankery for you?
Holy smoke. I do have Days of Future Past. It's in the other room, but I can go get it.
No, let's just stick with the books we got in the stack.
Okay, let me put Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix in the very beginning.
I think, because what's the first book in the beginning right now?
Powerless.
Yeah, that's what's like almost a decade before Powerless.
Okay, I have some other books that might be old.
That's fine. So yeah, I mean, if you love Cable and you love alternate dystopian future X-Men, if you like Age of Apocalypse, it's not the same as Age of Apocalypse, but it is an apocalyptic future where Apocalypse is in charge. So if you dig Age of Apocalypse and you dig Cable, buy that book because it's just Cable in that kind of a future.
I do too know something about X-Men. How dare you? How dare me not know about Rachel? And Robot are speaking up for me. I like it because Jess is enthusiastic about the X-Men and wants to know how to place them. Yes.
My favorite thing about Jess, honestly, is you just love stories. Like, it's not about what's hot or what's cool. Like, if you can like pose it to like, well, the cool story thing about this is that Rachel raises her own brother in the future. Jess is like, sold. I'll read that next. I put it on
totally. Totally. And here we have fake X-Fan Freddy with his copy of X-Force.
With the only X-Men that can rival Peter's hair.
Adam the Extreme, I love him.
Adam Extreme, here to profess my love. This isn't the single show, but here to profess my love to this relationship.
Worships
they
Peter's
were so
hair.
cute, X-23 and Angel, and then that continued into Tom Taylor's all-new Wolverine. It was really cute.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and just all-new X-Men was supposed to end, but it didn't in this spectacular issue 600.
Right, I remember that.
Which
it
didn't
not
wrap anything up.
I did notice that. The next book is The Magneto War.
So that's another oldie. So that I think that's where Claremont briefly comes back. It's pre-Morrison. Is it pre-Powerless? That's my question to myself.
Joe Kelly, Alan Davis,
but it's definitely older. I'm just trying to remember if it's before or after Powerless.
Does it have? Oh my gosh, the writing is so tiny on these. Collecting X-Men 85 through 91.
Yeah, that's before Powerless.
Before Powerless, okay.
Magneto. Okay, making that up. I'm just shooting from the hip right now.
It's probably fine with me.
Hold on, let me try to. Okay. So Magneto War. Let me think about this for a second.
Yeah,
so
let
Magneto
me make
War
some room here too.
Kicks off the period in the 360s of Uncanny X-Men that is directly following a period that many people think of the Kelly and Siegel period, because Joe Kelly was writing one of the titles, Steve Siegel was writing the other of the titles. Magneto War has previously been collected as Magneto Rogue Nation. Alan Davis was actually writing it, but I think there's rumors that Chris Claremont was co-writing or ghostwriting a little bit at that point. So that really kicks off this era that's kind of like the beginning of the end of the titles being separate as we roll towards Grant Morrison, but there's like still another 30 issues before we get to Grant Morrison. So it basically goes X-Men Magneto, we're kicking that off. Then there's like a bunch of single stuff, including Apocalypse the 12, if anybody's got that. Then there's Powerless, and then comes X-Men Revolution, which we have an omnibus of, which is Chris Claremont coming back officially. And then after X-Men Revolution, there's a little bit more leeway or runway, I should say. And then we get to Morrison. So it's kind of this like weird in-betweener period. I think of that whole period as Revolution, just broadly, even though Revolution is the end of it.
So I have this book too.
Yeah, you can put that, I believe, right before Powerless.
And where does it go regarding Magneto War?
It will be, so your shelf will go Magneto War, then Apocalypse the 12, then Powerless.
And this happens after the wedding of Cyclops and Phoenix.
Yes, Wedding of Cyclops and Phoenix happens in X-Men 1991 issue 30. Magneto War, I want to say, begins in X-Men 1991 issue number 85. So we're 55 years later, or 55 issues later. Years of age on my brain for remembering all of this. And
sure. Okay, I am just moving things here because of.
Oh, jeez. Freddie, I get all heated after we get through one of those.
Yeah, but I would remove Axis and Black Vortex, though. And I put them somewhere else entirely because they're not really X-Men books. They're Uncanny Avengers and Star-Lord.
That's a good point. Like, is Uncanny Avengers an X-Men book or not? And you say not.
Well, I'd say yes, but since he has them with the Omnis, I just put it right next there.
Yeah. Yeah, if you've got an omnibus collection and you have, if you have access, literally put access directly following your Uncanny Avengers omnibus. They're meant to go together. One leads to the other. But if you've got an X-Men shelf of just blended X-Men stuff, we've got it in the right place.
Okay.
Yeah, think of it like that's the Secret Wars to the Avengers. Like, it should have been in the Omni, but it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way
of
thinking about it. Right, and the Remender Omni is only like 25 issues. That's just one of those things that always tick me off. Like, why would you not collect access? It's literally the final arc of the Remender book. Why? But it's, you know.
I can't put it next to the omnibus because it's all Marvel Omnis.
Okay, that's fair.
It's a look.
Okay.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. I admit to having that vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's next in the stack, Jess? We got so many books to go through. Our pace is like 5 minutes per book right now.
I think these are newer. These are maybe Marvel now. It's New Mutants, Dead Souls, and two
Color
Storm
Era.
trade bait. Two Storm.
Let's stick with Storm. Put Dead Souls in the Color Era stack. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
All right. So, Freddie, are you familiar with this Storm book before I start rhapsodizing?
That's the Greg Pak run.
It's Greg Pak on Storm. This is a little bit later in Marvel now. It actually crosses over with Wolverine dying in 2015. So we're not right at the start of Marvel now. And it's fantastic. It's the first solo ongoing Storm ever had. I think Greg Pak had a great sense of the character, and he uses her to explore a lot of Claremontian stuff. She hangs out with Yukio. She does stuff in Madripoor. She deals with Callisto and Morlocks. It's a very kind of like Storm's greatest hits. Some people would probably rather Storm go off and blaze her own trail of continuity, but I still think it's very accessible. And actually, it is one of my top 3 books of all of Marvel now. It's gorgeous. It's fun to read. I would hold this alongside Dan Slott's Silver Surfer and Jason Aaron's Thor. That is literally how much I like it. Yes, it is my top 3. Slott Surfer, Aaron Thor, Pak Storm. That is the best of Marvel now list.
I just want to clear something up. I have a Marvel Omnibus Kalax, and then I have a DC Omnibus Billy Shelf. The shelves. So yeah, I keep those. The Venn diagram, those two universes cannot connect. I leave Omnis. It's a look, man. It's a vibe, and
I'm the same. You don't see any Omnis in this room. This is all of my non-Omni books, and then my other office that that I do not stream from, has the omnibuses.
And where do I put Storm? Like way late?
Oh, yeah, pretty late. Hold on. I'm trying to think of how at some point she's just not in All New X-Men or
Yeah,
Uncanny
for now,
X-Men
I put it
anymore.
after Axis because Wolverine is still alive in Axis, even though it's coming out after Death of Wolverine or during Death of Wolverine.
I do have Death of Wolverine if you want me to pull that.
So if we're going to get real specific, most of it happens before Axis, and then Wolverine dies, and then it kind of jumps to after Axis. So I think you could either put them on either side of Axis, or you could just put them both before Axis. Only the last 4 issues are after Axis.
And do you want me to pull Death of Wolverine, or will we get to that later? No. Okie doke.
I'm all for it. This is my era.
I literally have 8 short boxes of every single collection released of Marvel now. And if anybody has 10,000 New Zealand dollars, you can have those. I will drive them to your house.
Okay.
I'm not joking.
Where should No More Humans go?
Oh, Freddie, do you want to talk about this one? I know you were talking about this one in the chat.
Yeah, I was talking about it. That's such a hard one. Peter, you obviously have you're more attached to this book.
Well, it's Mike Carey. I get attached when Mike Carey is writing. Let's see. X-Men.
That one's a hard one because I remember when it was coming out.
While you guys are talking, let me do a quick plug. Organic Price Books, code Omnidog. Please use it and get 5% off shipping 4 more books together using code Omnidog.
Sit, Omnidog, sit. Good dog.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because that OGN, if I remember correctly, it came out right about the time that Battle of the Atom was coming out, so I put it just before.
So it's actually a sequel to Battle of the Atom. It has Reyes, who is a character in Battle of the Atom, who is from, again, Battle of the Atom plays with potential future X-Men coming to the past to have arguments, as many X-Men stories do. And Reyes is a potential future son of Wolverine and Mystique. And then there's also a potential future daughter of Storm, who kind of gets ushered off stage pretty quickly. But that all happens in Battle of the Atom. And then Mike Carey just writes this other story with him, but it's actually pretty good. So here's the thing. It's really hard to place. Technically, it happens after almost a year more of Uncanny X-Men issues, but just in terms of pure reading to enjoy, I think we should just put it right after Battle of the Atom.
Yeah.
Technically, if we really want to split hairs, it fits directly after All New X-Men 25.
I'll put it after Battle of the Atom.
But it's just awesome. A direct epilogue to Battle of the Atom. And it's Mike Carey. Mike Carey.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here is an oldie, I think. Hunt for Professor X.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Uncanny X-Men. Oh, 1981.
Yeah, but that's just okay. So when you see Uncanny X-Men 1981 on a book, that's because Marvel treats it like the volume of Uncanny X-Men wasn't called Uncanny until X-Men issue 142 in 1981. Really, that's the 1963 volume. Hilariously, on Marvel Unlimited, it's all just called X-Men 1963. But the collection department goes by the indicia of the actual book. The indicia is that tiny little print in the beginning of the first page. It's not reproduced in collections. And technically, in the indicia, the title was not Uncanny X-Men until 1991.
Okay.
All right, Hunt for Xavier. This is super easy. It goes directly before Magneto War.
And after Cyclops and Phoenix?
Yes. Okay. So the Hunt for Professor Xavier basically closed out this period where Uncanny X-Men and X-Men were basically being treated as bi or semi-monthly issues of the same title, and you had to pretty much read back and forth throughout the entire era. I call this era reassembled. I don't know why. It's just kind of like because the teams are really mushed together and a lot of characters that had previously been extant in other books are sucked back in. Kitty is back, Colossus is back, Nightcrawler is back. So it's really kind of like the pulling back together of a lot of the core cast of X-Men in the wake of Onslaught. And so this ends that part of the era, and then right after this is Magneto War.
I cannot have Decimation split. I'm going to have to make room because it looks so good. I'll do that on my own time, though. Okay. The hunt for, actually, it's probably going to happen during this broadcast. Hunt for Professor X.
People in the chat are fundraising at 10,000 New Zealand dollars right now to get those Marvel Now books out of my hands.
Rodimus wants me to sell The Hunt for Professor X. You know what it took me to find that book?
And you know what? It'll be an epic collection soon enough.
Sure. I think I found. Sorry.
What's next? Y'all have so many good questions in the chat. We'll peek in the chat after another book or two. How about that?
X-Men Legends.
Oh, Jesus, Lord in heaven. Okay, so yeah. Here's the thing about the book that you hold in your hand. During the Krakoa era, about a year and a half to 2 years in, I think Marvel realized how deep and weird Krakoa was for X-Men, and that a lot of fans just wanted to read some X-Men being X-Men, which I think is BS. We'll come back to that later. But they did kind of a cool thing. They went back and polled all of these old stories for where were there dangling plot threads, where did authors get cut off earlier in the run, where were they hurried into an event, and they had the original authors come back to do 1- and 2-shot stories that fit perfectly into prior continuity. So even though this book came out during the Krakoa era, I want to say it came out, we did it on This Week in X, so it must have been 2021. All of the stories, each 2 stories is from a much older era. So the opening arc is Fabian Nicieza finally explaining what the deal is with Freddy. No, you're not going to help me with Adam X.
I never read that.
Oh my God, you have to read it. Freddie, your homework assignment is to go and read X-Men Legends 1 and 2. It's Nicieza explaining his whole plan for Adam X.
I'll read it, but I do have a reason why I just ignored all those revisions and like come back, like everything except Symbiote Spider-Man I ignored.
So yeah, Jeff, this one's weird because every 2 issues is a different title and a different time period. There's a Walt Simonson, Louise Simonson X Factor story. I know in the second volume, there's a really good Larry Hama Wolverine story. So this is, I think we're just going to put it within the color book stack right now because we're going to deal with it later. But there's no perfect place to put it on your shelf. That would be one because it's anthologized.
Now these are Generation Hope.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Freddie, do you have anything you want to speak about Hope Summers?
Oh, I love Hope, but yeah, I do not remember where those take place. I was talking to Max about that character, AU.
All right, so here we go. Second Coming ends. Second Coming runs through Uncanny X-Men 525. At the end of Second Coming, Hope kind of comes into the fullness of her powers in the present day after she's been in the future with Cable throughout the 2008 Cable series by Dwayne Suzarski. I can't say his name. So then we have two remaining arcs of Uncanny X-Men by Matt Fraction. And these are the arcs of Uncanny X-Men where he's like introducing the idea that there are more mutants out of the world. And so once we get through the first arc of that Mac Fraction, then Generation Hope begins, which is Hope bringing these new mutants together with her and trying to figure out what's the deal, what are we going to do? We're the first 5 mutants that have had powers ever since House of M, right? And so Kieran Gillen writes that. So Kieran Gillen actually starts writing Generation Hope before he starts writing Uncanny X-Men. So I think we're going to want to put this after Fraction Volume 2.
Okay. That is right here. Okay, Hope Summers. Is she Cable's daughter?
Adopted daughter from the future who we first meet in Messiah Complex.
Messiah Complex. Okay, so Generation Hope goes here.
Was I right in saying after Fraction 2? No, actually, let's just put it after. Let's just put it after Fraction 3. It kind of happens. It starts towards the end of Fraction 3.
Okay, that's down here. Okay.
My vague memory is that it ends just before AVX.
Yes. So the first 12 issues are by Gillen, and they run up to Schism, which ends Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 with issue 544. The final arc is by James Asmus. It's post-Schism. It's on the Wolverine side of the Schism. And so that would have ended about 5 months before AVX, if my math is right.
Let's see. Elon the Fabulous had a quick question for you.
2.
Just 2.
Highly recommended. You have to, now here's the thing. You have to understand with my recommendations, I do not like the most mainstreamy of X-Men books. If it's an X-Men comic that reads like it's an episode of the animated series, I probably don't want to read it in the modern day. If that was great in the 90s, I don't really like when books kind of go back and try to do that vibe again. I like books that are like a little more off the beaten path or that like really move the characters forward. So that's why I love Kieran Gillen on any X book. I love Storm by Greg Pak. I love Mike Carey writing Rogue because they're all books that push the character forward. So if you're the kind of person who likes X-Men comfort reads, you will actually have the opposite opinions of me. I like X-Men discomfort reads. So the more we like change the characters, the more I'm into it. And so that you have to understand that when you have my recommendations. But then more fluffy cats and dogs.
A cat and dog.
Yeah, he
Cute.
gets jealous.
I
He wants me to feed her, so I'm gonna get up and put food.
think things are going to get easier here soon, because I think these are some of the last of my older.
Things are
Gen Next.
Don't care. Non-continuity. It's totally out of continuity. Read it at your leisure.
Okay.
Ooh, child.
The quest for
Things are
Nightcrawler.
gonna get brighter. Okay, so Nightcrawler is dead. He dies. Sorry, spoilers. He dies during Second Coming in a pretty spectacular sequence, actually. Really, really great. So he's dead through all of the beginning of Marvel Now. And Jason Aaron decides that as his kind of like parting shot on X-Men, he wants to put some of the toys back in the toy box, even though he was not the one responsible for Nightcrawler dying, and that he's going to bring back Nightcrawler. So Amazing X-Men happens towards the end of Aaron's run on Wolverine and the X-Men, which I think means it must happen after Battle of the Atom. I'm going to check myself on that.
Okay.
And it is amazing. Like, think Wade and Waringo, Fantastic Four, when they go to save Thing. Basically that.
Yeah, it's kind of stuck in my head too now.
Yeah, I think I'm right. Okay, this happens
after Battle of the Atom?
Not too long after Battle of the Atom. It's very fun. It's a very, again, so I don't like it as much because to me it feels a little bit recursive. It's like a very, look at this, it's a familiar team of X-Men that you'll love, right? But like, I don't tend to like that kind of an X-Men book. If you're looking for a familiar X-Men team that you'll love, it's actually a really fun read.
Okay.
For me, the fun isn't really the team, it's the setting. It's where they are.
Oh, you could put it after No More Humans too. You don't have to squeeze it in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always just want to read No More Humans right after Battle of the Atom, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, Freddie. It's the adventure. It's a fun adventure. And then that book actually goes on, and I like it better after that first arc. It gets a couple of other writers, and it really just plays with this idea of what are some modern stories we can tell with this kind of core of very recognizable characters. I think it leans really heavily on Colossus as a core character in a lot of the issues. And so I actually like it better after that first Aaron arc because there's less of a sense that we're just trying to like play with old toys and more of a sense of like, oh, let's try to do something new with like a mix of characters that we haven't seen for a while.
Oh my God, I have so many more books here.
All right, what's next? We gotta whip it out. And there's people talking in the chat asking good questions.
Oh my gosh, are they?
Kane
Kane
gives us the greatest compliment. I am done. This is officially the greatest dream ever.
Oh, but Kane, I can't do this for Spider-Man, unfortunately. I just don't have the early 2000s Spider-Man knowledge to do this for Spider-Man.
Okay, these should be easy. I think I already know what you're going to say. I have X-Men Blue, and X-Men Red.
We're going to put them in the color stack, but it seems like we're fast approaching getting to the color stack. So we're just building the color stack.
Oh,
Whenever
I don't know
color
about
stack,
that.
I mean X-Men Resurrection that started in May of 2017, but we're not quite there yet.
How about Phoenix Resurrection?
Color stack.
That goes just before the Rosenberg run.
Yeah. Extraordinary X-Men?
Okay, so Extraordinary X-Men is part of all new, all different Marvel, which basically is post-Secret Wars Marvel. So after Secret Wars, Bendis leaves the X-Book, and we start with 3 flagships. Flagship number 1 is Uncanny X-Men by Cullen Bunn, which is kind of a continuation of his run on Magneto. Pretty fun, pretty villainous.
Yeah. It's
flagship number... Oh, go ahead, Freddie.
It's basically an X-Force team.
Yeah, it's kind of X-Force-y, kind of Brotherhood of Evil Mutancy. I like it, but I also like Greg Land. So
it's amazing.
My taste is weird. Then there's an all-new X-Men continuation, which I want to say is by Dennis Hopeless.
Yeah.
That's okay if you like the all-new X-Men. It's the all-new X-Men plus Oya plus Evan Sabanur, the Kid Apocalypse. So if you're into those characters, you'd be into that book. Then there's Extraordinary X-Men, which is Jeff Lemire, who at the time said, just a warning, I'm not good at writing team titles. And you know what? Jeff Lemire really understands himself well because he's not good at writing team titles.
I just pulled a huge stack of extraordinary, well, not a huge stack, but a bunch of Extraordinary X-Men.
But here's the thing. If you're an X-Men reader who's just looking for like, where's the core team of X-Men being X-Men, that's actually that book in that period. Because as Freddie and I just established, Uncanny was kind of the like Magneto villainous book. All New X-Men was the time displaced students. Extraordinary X-Men kind of was the core where X-Men were based at the mansion. It had Storm, it had Old Man Logan, it had Teen Jean from the past, it had Magic. So if that's the team that you're like, ooh, sounds fun, that's what you want to read. And it's got a lot of Magic storylines in it, actually.
And the biggest selling point, the mansion is a limbo.
Yeah, it's really cool. So they have to put the mansion somewhere that's safe from the Terrigen Cloud, because the whole premise of post-Secret Wars Marvel is that the Terrigen Cloud is kind of like floating around the earth, and at this point it has become toxic to mutants. And so they're like, where can we be safe and have a safe haven for all the mutant kids and new mutants are emerging? And so Magic's the X-Mansion to Limbo, and that is the basis of that run.
Yeah, and then the all-new team is basically, if you like hard traveling heroes, this is not that, but they are traveling.
They are traveling, and it's hard to read.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I have
and
some
then
of
Laura,
these.
X-23 basically leaves the team because she has her own run as all new Wolverine, and she takes Angel with her, and Cyclops joins the champions. So you have half of the time displaced team.
Yeah, it gets messier and at a point it's like, who's even in this book? Like, there's no Jean, there's no Cyclops, there's no Angel. It's just like, wow, okay, a young beast. This is really exciting, you know. And Iceman having his continuing gay awakening, which, you know,
but I will say the time displaced team is worth it because of the vet that I told you about, just the one you searched. That I always forget the name, where Kid Cable first appears.
Extermination. I do actually love Kid Cable. I was so skeptical at first, and then I became like a hardcore, I call him Table, short for Teen Table, Teen Cable, portmanteaued. I became a hardcore Table stan in a sentence that makes no sense in context other than this one.
Yeah, just if you know where Extermination is, put it with the colors. It's the end of the colors era.
Okay, I do know where it is. Is that this?
Yes.
Yeah, into the color stack.
Color stack. Okay. I'm grappling with Uncanny and All New. Wait, this will be easy. X-Men Black. Color stack, right?
Color stack.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to get there. Oh, NFL dude knows his Krisis.
Yeah, he does.
Deep cuts. NFL dude, I give every writer a chance, and I've liked Brazan in other titles. I think his Ghost Rider is amazing.
It is.
Well, that's good to know. Okay, now
Team Table Stand. I should get a T-shirt that says that Team Table Stand, and nobody will ever know what it means.
Okay, I am. Wait, is this Uncanny? No, this is All New. What the hell?
Okay, what are you doing, Jess?
I am missing an issue of All New X-Men Inevitable, but I know I had all of them because I actually read it at one time.
Jess is losing the plot. Let's get the cat back on.
You don't know. Like, people have been asking to see the cat like for months now.
This is why I can't have my daughter join me on a stream, because as soon as you hear this kid talking about X-Men, that's all you're gonna want to watch. If you think I have an encyclopedic knowledge, she just sits in her room with the epic collections of Claremont X-Men and commits them to memory.
Wow.
I now ask her questions if it's about Claremont.
She's a mini you.
We can't unleash. And I didn't make her like that. I just read them to her. She's the one who decided she liked them. She replied to Gail Simone's tweet about my one X-Men that her favorite X-Men was Lockheed or Kitty Pryde if she's accompanied by Lockheed. And Gail retweeted her. So now the kid's head has grown because she's like, well, the new X-Men writer agrees with me, Dad. So.
I agreed with. I saw that tweet. It was amazing.
That is amazing.
I didn't want any more Peter takes. No,
no, only Kid Krisis takes.
I want
Kid Krisis. Okay, I've got extraordinary.
Like Fable, right? She does have great hair. But...
Did she have? People don't compliment you on your glasses enough. That I think that really helps complete the look. Those glasses are bitching.
Well, they're my game show host glasses. I used to wear like little tiny editor glasses, and one day at the store, I was like, "Oh, let me just put these on for fun," and I put them on. I was like, "Whoa, I'm Drew Carey now. I'm on the hosting the match game now. I've turned into a totally different person." So they were sold out all around. I think there's some cool brand, Diesel, and they were sold out all around the world. And so I found a shop in Germany that had them, and I cleaned out every pair of frames so that I can keep wearing these glasses for the next 10 years. So because I'm obsessed with.
I was just going to say, I love the obsessiveness. That's so awesome. Okay, so what do I do with Extraordinary, All New, and Uncanny by Bunn?
So here's the thing. I don't know, Freddie, let me ask you, because you know this era pretty well. Do you think there's a lot to be gained from like reading them like one volume of this, one volume of this?
No.
Or should you just read each one up until
read them
IVX?
Throughout, like even the event where they all come together, the Apocalypse Wars, you can.
They don't come together. It's a lie.
Exactly. You can just read that because they don't.
Yeah. So Jess, I think we're recommending that you just shelf them in 3 little tidy runs of, all new. And if you all wanted to get really obsessed, you could just read all the volume 1s and then all the volume 2s and then all the volume 3s. But they cross over very, very little.
Yeah.
Where do they go in relation to Axis?
After Axis, because we're post Secret Wars now.
Okay. That'll lead me to my next
and
step.
post Storm, post Death of Wolverine.
Oh yeah, I have all those Wolvie books.
Yeah, these are all that whole group of Extraordinary, All New by Hopeless, and Uncanny by Bunn are all post Secret Wars.
Okay.
All right, look at that. We just knocked out 9 books. Just like
nice. Okay, here's the one that
and I told you I did also like Brazan on Iron Fist. I just don't think don't know that Brazan ever truly had the heart of what made X-Men interesting, even when he was writing X-Force. I think he knew the voices, he knew the history. I just don't know that he fundamentally found his version of why X-Men is interesting. And that doesn't mean the book is bad. Plenty of people read it and be like, but it's got characters I like, but the story is cool. But I'm always looking for why are they mutants? Why are they together? What is happening that's going to change this world? And Brazan never had that for me on X-Men or X-Force. He absolutely had it on Ghost Rider. He absolutely had it on Iron Fist. So to me, it's I'm really looking for a fundamental why in an X-Men comic book a lot of the time.
How about we go with this one first? Well, no, this is the one Nate was asking about. Cyclops by Rucka. This is I loved this book. These books.
So this is Teen Cyclops leaves All New X-Men at a point because
after Trials of Jean Grey.
After Trials of Jean Grey, good catch. Because he wants to go to space and hang out with his dad, Corsair, who in the actual timeline, he's not going to meet for many, many years, right? Until deep into Claremont's run. But for this teenage Cyclops, he's actually only a few years after he thought that his parents died. So it's oh my gosh, my dad's alive and he's in space? What the hell? And so this basically picks up after All New X-Men issue 24. So in terms of just his shelf, it picks up after the 3rd All New X-Men oversized hardcover, which contains issues 22 to 30.
So I will put this after All New X-Men, but before Storm.
Yeah.
And when I'm rereading, I will note that. This is by Greg Rucka. It's really good.
I mean, Greg Rucka on a Marvel book, okay? We're not effing around here. Greg Rucka.
That's right. 100% right.
Yeah, it's really charming as hell. And the art, right? Isn't the art amazing? Isn't it Russell Dodderman on some of the issues, Freddie?
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's Dodderman's first book, actually, like Marvel book.
Damn.
X-Men, Reckless Abandon, Blank Generation.
Ooh.
Well, can you tell me what one of those says on the back? I bet it's going to say X-Men 2010, like in the 30s range, but I'm not 100%
They're not
sure.
numbered. Let's see. A new race of mutants is discovered, collecting X-Men 30 through 35, and then the other one's 36 through 41, written by Brian Wood.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good at this job. Okay,
Yeah,
so
Ooh, this looks good.
That's the all-female team.
no, it's not. Not
no,
yet.
it's not?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
No, so Brian Wood actually, so there's Marvel relaunches adjectiveless X-Men, which we just say because if you say X-Men, who the hell knows what you're talking about? So now we make it longer by saying adjectiveless. They launch adjectiveless X-Men in 2010, just after Second Coming, to again have a book that's easy for anybody to pick up that's not deep in the mutant BS, right? It's launched with a bunch of vampire stuff. That goes for about 20 issues. Then Schism happens. Schism is a hard split in the X-Men between people who agree with Cyclops and want to be a little bit more militant, and people who agree with Wolverine and want to kind of foster the next generation of X-Men. This book is on, gosh, I can't remember what side of the Schism it's on. Freddy, do you remember? It's got Domino, Storm.
I have no idea.
I can't remember, but so then it kind of turns into the away team, and it's really good. At first, it has Will Conrad art, so that's about 10 issues. Then it keeps going, and Storm takes over, and it kind of becomes the Storm book because there's really no home for Storm. She's briefly in Kieran Gillen's Uncanny X-Men, but she kind of doesn't love the direction things are going in. So this is happening, I want to say, just before AVX, and it's like Storm's away team.
Yeah.
So the reason Freddie said that it's the all ladies X-Men team is because Brian Wood is the author who does relaunch adjectiveless X-Men in 2013.
Yeah.
And he does still have a very similar team, and it's still adjectiveless X-Men. So that's why I want to know what it said in the back, because just from the cover treatment, it sounds like it's one of those Brian Wood books. So that literally butts right up to AVX. So we're going to put it, we're actually got to think about where it falls in terms of legacy.
Legacy. X-Men Legacy?
I think we want to put it like after your last Legacy hardcover and before Battle of the Atom.
After, wait a minute. Excuse me. After the last Legacy I have is 5 miles south of the universe, followed by Uncanny X-Men by Gillen. Astonishing.
Oh, I'm thinking.
Okay.
So it definitely goes after Hope, and it's after after Hope.
Where did I put you? Hope. Oh,
and if you have Gillen Volume 1, I think we might even put it after that.
Gillen. Oh, you're asking me to split up Uncanny by Gillen with this?
Yeah, if you have Uncanny by Gillen 1 and 2, I would put this directly after Uncanny by Gillen 1 for now.
Okay, that's fair. I have other things broken up.
Yeah, to answer Mr. Tex, if this is after a Hutland run, and I believe it is, and before AVX, then yeah, they're married.
Oh, that made my brain really go south.
You worked hard on that one. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. So Gillen, the first Gillen trade basically ends 3 issues after Schism, and we're saying that those books that you just put on the shelves are like 10 issues after Schism. So it's kind of happening during the second Gillen trade, but the second Gillen trade goes all the way through AVX, and this kind of stops before AVX. So by that, we just have to read it before the second Gillen trade.
Okay, and then I have some not X-Men-y one. Shatterstar.
Color Era.
No, you're right. It's Colors Era. I was gonna say that's Rosenberg. No, that's just before Rosenberg.
That's Tim Seeley.
Yeah.
We've got our true colors.
Wait, these look like
X-Men stack.
This is Krakoa. Okay. I need to put this in a Krakoa stack.
Krakoa.
And I don't know what these are. Multiple Man?
Oh, that is
Rosenberg Color Era.
That's post Colors, or right
No,
at the end of colors.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still talk about Rosenberg as if it's color era because
Okay.
it's like, what are you going to call it? It's like still
Disassembled, but yeah.
Yeah, color / disassembled / resurrection.
Okay, and X-Force by your favorite writer, Brisson.
Risen.
That
I
happens
thought you
right
didn't
before Krakoa. Yeah. So
Right
that's
before
a new
Krakoa.
stack.
Okay. So
Well,
I'll
we're
put
gonna
it
put in the
have
color
put that
stack.
with
color
the
stack. Okay.
Color
Yeah.
stack. Yeah.
Because that is just after Extermination.
Right. That's where Extermination continues to that book.
Okay, we're getting very close to the end. Just so you know, you are okay. And I have no idea why Infamous Iron Man is in this stack.
That has nothing to do with X-Men.
I know.
Well,
Actually, I really
yeah,
like it. It's a fun series.
it's not an X-Men book yet.
Not yet. Currently, Iron Man is an X-Men book, which is a wild sentence.
Right. Okay, let me grab. Okay, this is the final stack. Oh, except for Wolverine and the colors. Okay, we'll whip through these. X-Men Fantastic Four, that's
Krakoa.
Krakoa. Domino. This was great. I
Okay.
loved this book.
Ooh, that's part of the color era because it's during Resurrection by Gail Simone.
Yeah, that one
Right.
doesn't connect with any other X book, so you can pretty much put it wherever you want.
Yeah,
Well,
I
doesn't
love this.
She eventually, after that, wind up in Weapon X. So, like, you would want to read it before she's in Weapon X, but it's not like it like crosses over with Weapon X.
Yeah, I guess that's
Yeah.
fair.
So it goes in the color stack, but
Color
it's
stack.
okay. Yeah, it's separate.
Yeah.
It can be read anytime. More Generation X.
I love that book. It is
Amazing.
Resurrection / color era. It's by Christina Strain rather. Absolutely delightful book. Jubilee is the
Ooh.
main character.
Ooh,
Monet. Really, really great read. I loved it to death.
good.
Major Runaways vibes.
Ooh, and this goes in the color stack.
Color stack.
Infamous Iron Man. I don't know why it's there.
Goodbye. Frisbee, that one right.
X-Men Summers and Winter.
That is part of the Rosenberg part
Yeah,
that Freddie keeps
disassembled.
talking about.
Color.
Color.
stack.
Yeah, disassembled is like a late color.
Well,
Yeah.
you know
All
what?
the colors
Here's-
of the wind.
We'll split up colors at the end, just don't worry.
Okay, how about this one? Disassembled.
Yeah,
So late color era.
Okay.
All the leaves are brown and the sky's gray.
Okay, and this is what now? Color?
And that comes right after that.
Yeah, that goes right.
Disassembled. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have Uncanny X-Men Rosenberg.
All right,
Yeah.
so I guess Freddie, we got to just start dealing with the color era because that's what he's got here.
Well, wait. We do have we're almost done. So let me just put that in the color era.
I noticed Jess's hand off frame started down here, and then it was here, and it was like here.
This is easy. I can put these separate, like Domino, because this was separate and awesome.
Well, it happens after X-Men Gold 30, so it happens during like right before the last. You could probably put it right after Blue.
Yeah,
before,
that.
yeah.
I would put that just after colors before disassembled.
Okay, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Cyclops
series, Kelly Thompson.
Starstruck. Wait, is this?
That's bad. That's more Rucka
Yeah.
Rucka Cyclops. So put it with the other one.
Did I double dip?
Did you buy
Did I buy
two
this
of all
twice?
one?
Starstruck, baby, let me lift your heart up.
Starstruck. Yeah, I double dip. Sorry. I have two
Nice.
copies.
Somebody
of
out there is probably on eBay looking for that book right now, Jess.
it. I have no idea where these go. Age of Apocalypse.
So that branches off from Schism and from Uncanny X-Force 2010 issue 19.1. It's really just a sidebar thing, but it does terminate in. Remember, we have that book X-Men Extermination, not the color era Extermination.
Yeah,
The Extermination with the Nick Bradshaw Nightcrawler on the cover.
Wait, I have that, right? That sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
So that should go right before that because it leads up to that.
To Extermination. Let's see, where is that now?
The comments has just died. We either put them to sleep or they've all had aneurysms trying to keep track.
Lionheart's here. Thank you. Kenny's here. Nice. Mr. Tex is happy with Freddie. Okay, so Extermination.
I remember doing it last time.
Yeah. Extermination.
I make
What
the screen
what
bigger.
era about is that?
Oh,
Oh, there it is. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. It's right
They're
after
directly-
Astonishing.
We're just gonna put it right before that.
Okay,
Because
let
it's
me
all an
move.
alternate universe, so you kind of gain nothing from alternating it with Astonishing or whatever. It's kind of like once you get up to Extermination, if you care, just read all of it's a really interesting series. So it's set in the Age of Apocalypse, and some of the key X-Men figures in the Age of Apocalypse have given up their powers so that they're like not trackable by the current person in charge, who is no longer Apocalypse. As of the end of that arc of Uncanny X-Force, I believe it's Age of Apocalypse Wolverine. And so Jean Grey, Age of Apocalypse Jean Grey, is one of the people who gives up their powers to kind of form an insurgency. And so it's a very kind of like ground level guerrilla warfare kind of book for 12 issues. If you're into that kind of thing, it's not real mutiny. It's guerrilla warfare.
The chat says they're enjoying the show. Hayden's captivated.
Okay, we'll take captivated. I should.
Okay.
Hayden and I are gonna start a show that's all about comics and Drag Race. We're gonna have a weekly comics and Drag Race.
Sweet. Worst X-Men ever. That's just a separate thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
That's
that
not
even
read.
in continuity?
No.
I don't think so. I love it. This was one of my
next abomination.
This was probably the first recommendation from Riley.
I'm not saying it's a bad
13.
book. It's
No,
just not in continuity.
I love
Right.
it. It's silly.
I also love it. Okay.
Kill Baldy.
I have no idea where House of M. What the hell? Why do I have these?
So those are kind of like later House of M continuity insert series that they did as miniseries because House of M was popular. So if you wanted to, you could put it with your House of M books. They're all set in that, but it wasn't part of the original House of M. It was later inserted.
I've moved the books around so much. Oh, there's House of M. Okay. House of M, like after Excalibur. Oh gosh, I don't even have the logo going properly.
Oh no, what are we doing?
No.
How can we call comic book streamers, Jess?
I'm a loser. I'm a big loser.
Loser, baby. Or I'm a loser by the Beatles, right?
I'm
not what I appear to be. I'm just gonna get you demonetized if I sing enough songs.
We could also go Descendants. I'm not a loser.
Yeah. See, this is my sweet spot.
Descendants,
Rock
that's a
music,
good
comic
call.
books, and if we could just get a little bit of Drag Race in there, and then we'd really, that's what my doctorate is in, the intersection of rock music, comic books.
That's a good call on the
Right.
Descendants. Not a loser.
What was it?
Okay, we have Wolverine books and the color stack, and then we're done.
Love it. Look at how far we've come. Look at how far we have left to go.
You are my hero doing this for me. I know how valuable your time is. I know you're stretched thin because you're the Howard the Duck of YouTube. I'm serious. I appreciate this. We've been talking about it for so long that I totally appreciate this. This is awesome.
Well, Freddie was around because A, I get to hang out with Freddie, but B, my fucks given decline really quickly once we get post Secret Wars about it. So it's good that Freddie's here to kind of keep me in check.
Thank you, Peter.
Quinn asked, can you just read House of M? House of M is a very pick up and read it book. It happened smack in the middle of Astonishing, which I talked about, I think, for an hour in our previous stream. But it's very readable on its own. All you got to know is something bad is happening. Like it's a mystery. It's not meant for you to have all the information. So you can read it on its own. And then if you love it, you probably are going to like Astonishing X-Men, because even though House of M is written by Bendis, it's very of the vibe and with the same cast as Whedon's Astonishing X-Men.
Okay, there's an ever so slight. Wait, first Hayden wants to do this show.
We got to get Jess hooked on Drag Race first, and then it can be an Omnidog show, Hayden.
Oh my gosh, Freddie and Hayden got me interested in Doctor Who, and now you're gonna get me hooked on RuPaul. I can't wait. Why not?
Who often comments on the Near Mint stream, got me hooked on Doctor Who. Damn him.
Now, do I have an echo still, Kane? I read House of M Omnibus and wasn't confused.
Yeah, it's its own thing.
Okay. Do you want to do Wolverine first?
Yeah, let's do Wolverine.
There's not that. Oh yeah, it's kind of a big stack. Okay.
Look,
Let's
Bubby's
see.
the best at what he does.
That's
What he does
what
is
they
nice.
say. There's a lot of docking in this too for some reason.
I do
Yeah.
love me some Dawkins.
Okay, good. Well, then you'll be happy about this stack.
Well, again, going my whole MO is I like books that change things. I like books that push stuff in a new direction. So I'm like, ooh, bisexual murder son of Wolverine. Yes, I'm into it. Let's go.
Murder son.
It's accurate.
Oh, there's Black Vortex. Okay.
Oh, I was just like on the floor. The cat was just using it as a scratch pad.
The cat was scratching her face on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's where we saw them in those books.
Yeah, now I'm blanking on it. What's the island that's full of villains and mercenaries that he took over for like 5 whole minutes?
Bagdalia, Bogdanovich, Bagalia. That one? The one that's in Avengers
so-
Undercover?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bagalia. And then it's in Punisher by Rosenberg. With
Yeah.
Zemo is like in charge.
Yeah, it was in Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
And a Dragways Queen is in the upcoming season of Doctor Who, so getting just into it will be
right.
full circle.
That's going to be his backdoor pilot to get him into Drag Race. We're gonna have him watch. You know what? Because Jess is gonna love the All Winner Snatch Game, so that's how we're gonna get him. Okay,
Well,
Is
back
that
to
Doctor
books.
Who or
Gotta pick
RuPaul?
one
You'll
episode.
never know.
That's all he'll ever watch. He'll keep promising, but he'll only ever watch it one.
I need to watch those Star Wars cartoons. I know.
Yeah, make
Okay.
everything.
They announced that new Star Wars series today. I'm like, I don't even know what the F we're talking. What there's a show.
Oh.
It's called what? Like, I'm so out of the loop. I know
Peter,
what period it
Peter,
is.
I will educate you. I will send you the chart. I will send you the list.
He can do it. Yeah.
You tell me
I
how
love
much
Star
Wars
Wars.
you want, and I'll give it.
But
to
I
you.
mostly just read the comics. Like, I'm not a big
Okay.
cartoons and shows person.
That's fine. I can give you the bare essentials.
Okay. Have you been reading the comics? It's been really good lately.
I haven't in a while.
Oh, yo, you got to read Darth Vader by Pack.
Yeah.
Freddie. It's really good. Like maybe the best comic Marvel puts out some months good.
Wow.
Pack does little wrong, Jess.
Yeah, I agree.
Hulkverine.
Yeah, but if that's what the book's gonna be about and you know it's gonna be that stupid and you're into it, then it's fun. Like we're not asking, it's not Pack's masterpiece.
Hulkverine.
Hulkverine.
Okay, so I got
That's
several.
what a Hulk has always needed, his claws jutting out from the end of his fist.
I will say it's a better idea than Helverine.
Well, that's I think what we're about to put on the shelf, Jess. Hulkverine, is that what you got for us?
No.
I'm gonna put Black Vortex
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
I
think we said
Guardians of the
all
Galaxy
new-
and X-Men.
Yeah.
All
Put
new
it after
X-Men.
Cyclops.
after
Yeah, you
Cyclops.
should put it after Cyclops because Cyclops
Okay,
got
just
ends
sec.
there.
Cyclops.
Cyclops issue 12 is in Black Vortex, so
Okay. I see Cyclops.
and so are all new X-Men issues 38 and 39, which are
Okay.
almost the last issues in volume 4, so it kind of all makes an amount of sense.
Okay, then I've got Wolverine and Jubilee.
So that's actually older than a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. That happens before Battle of the Atom.
Yeah.
Because it's Wolverine. Jubilee is kind of like newly a vampire. So it's like, and she hasn't really hung out with Wolverine a whole lot. And they just have like a fun little team up.
Yeah.
Where does she turn
Force-
into a vampire?
I don't think you have that. I haven't seen it.
Wait.
Is it in an omnibus?
No, it's in Adjectiveless X-Men 2010 issues 1 through 6.
Why don't I have that?
I don't know. I mean, it's not
Frick.
it's not amazing.
But it explains how she got to be a vampire.
She's bitten by a vampire. There, you're caught up.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not.
Vampires invade Utopia.
Yeah.
Okay. Where did this go?
I'm trying to just think, Freddie, like where it goes in terms of.
Before Schism, I would guess, but I'm not sure
Is it
exactly.
before Schism? I'm not sure if I can.
Yeah, because
All right, it's. No, keep talking. Keep talking.
no, I'm just thinking because I just read X-23 recently, and they had hung out before she was a vampire, so that must have happened before she took Cyclops aside.
But then she is. Oh, I see. Yeah, because she is a vampire for like a whole year before that.
Yeah.
It's just bugging me. I should know this. Right. So this miniseries directly follows her turning into a vampire, which means not only is it so it's post Second Coming, before Schism. It's probably like before. It's probably right after Fraction 3.
Fraction 3. Okay.
And it's before the start of Uncanny X-Force. That I know for sure.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, it's actually it's literally one of the next things he does after Fraction 3. That's perfect.
Okay. Ooh, Stuart Immonen art.
Yes.
And Nato. Nice.
It's really fun. I actually really enjoy
is.
it. Yeah.
Ooh, good.
It can read just by itself too.
Here's a book that I have no idea about. X-Men: The Asgardian Wars. Is there a reason I own this?
It's now an Uncanny X-Men omnibus volume, Freddy, 4 or 5? 4 or 5. It used to be the only way to get those.
So
Yeah,
I already
that's
have this in an omnibus.
If you're collecting the Uncanny X-Men omnibus line, you will completely duplicate it.
Okay, so this goes in the duplicate pile.
Yeah.
The double dip pile.
Okay. I thought you got rid of all the 90s stuff.
I thought I did too.
That's 80s.
Oh, okay. Say no more.
X-Men versus Alpha Flight, Paul Smith. Gorgeous book.
Wolverine by Jason Aaron, Japan's Most Wanted.
Ooh.
Is this already in an omnibus?
No, they never recollected that.
Oh, Jason Aaron.
So this actually was a digital first series. It was one of the first Marvel books that they did as like a digital first. It happens towards the end of Wolverine and the X-Men. Just before Battle of the Atom. We're going to put that literally right before Battle of the Atom. Pardon me.
Okie dokie.
Does he still have his healing factor there, though?
Yeah, I think that's early enough in Marvel now that we're not like deep into the Paul Cornell stuff. I think it might happen. Technically in reading order, I think it happens before any Paul Cornell stories.
Okay.
Even though Paul Cornell's Wolverine had been coming out for a while at that point.
Yeah.
I don't think in story order it has happened yet.
Yeah, so that would go then with Savage Wolverine.
Well, Savage Wolverine's kind of anthology, but probably like with the first arc. Yeah, like the first arc of Savage Wolverine.
Okay.
Back in Japan, Jason Aaron.
So that, what does that have? Wolverine 300 in it?
300 to 304.
Yeah, isn't that in the Omni?
That's in the Omni because it's Aaron.
Okay.
It's like bread and butter Aaron Wolverine. So do you
Okey-doke.
want it on the shelf? Or you're just saying, it's in the Omni. We're going to
If it's in the Omni, I mean, if you think it'll look good on the shelf, sure.
All right.
Wait, Rodimus says I got gold. Does eBay want to give me Dosh for this? I'll put it in the Dosh pile.
Does eBay, I'm so far out from the eBay life. Does eBay still care about these singular hardcovers and trades now that they're omnibus? Like, are people still out there hunting them down?
That's a good question. I don't know.
So if we really want to get deep into it, that happens after the first few issues of Wolverine and the X-Men and before the Dark Angel saga and Uncanny X-Force really gets fully underway. So it happens just after Schism. So we would probably put it directly following Uncanny X-Men by Gillen Volume 1.
Okay. For the sake of this stream, I'm going to shelf it and then I'm going to look it up on eBay afterwards. Okay. Where did you say it goes? After
directly after Gillen Volume 1. Uncanny X-Men by Gillen. We have that, right?
Wait. Gillen. Oh, yeah. Gillen. Blank Generation. Does it go before Blank Generation?
No, I thought we had Uncanny X-Men by Gillen. No?
We do. We have Uncanny X-Men by Gillen. Then it goes Blank Generation, Reckless Abandon, Uncanny X-Men by Gillen 2.
We're going to put it directly after Uncanny X-Men by Gillen Volume 1 and before Blank Generation.
Okay.
And then it's going on eBay.
And then it's going to go on eBay.
Okay, just a sec.
Yeah, Kane, I really hope they have a publishing plan for those new Unlimited comics. Like, I know, Marvel in 2013, 2014, you knew every issue was going to get collected. Every Infinity comic was going to be in a collection eventually. It was a comprehensive 100% collection line. That's why I have all those short boxes of Marvel now, because I knew there would be a physical collection of everything. Now, these digital series, like some of them, it really looks like they're going to stay digital forever, which is cool. I think that's just where we are now. But, each one of those digital issues is about a quarter of a single issue. So it'd be really like the Avengers Unlimited right now. That's a big 25 issue arc. If you think about it, that's like a 6-issue arc. So it would be really easy for them to get collected as single issues or as trades. But like, I don't know if the sales are there and they're using it as a way to pull people into Marvel Unlimited. So it's like, we might not ever see them in print.
Most of them are coming out as singles. I don't know if all of them will get collections though. Like the X-Men one, they're in issue 55 more.
The X-Men one's up to issue 127 as of last week, and the stuff that's got collected is just the X-Men Green stories, because they were kind of easy to excerpt and mash together. But there were plenty of other arcs in between the X-Men Green stuff that has not been collected. So it's like sometimes they go in some of the trades. I know the Hellfire Gala trade has one of the Uncanny Unlimited arcs.
Immortal, and the other one have one or
like
two.
A couple little, and then like some of the Unlimited series, like It's Jeff, get collected because they're just great. But there's a lot of stuff that's digital only at this point. I mean, I track them all in my guides, and a lot of them aren't collected.
The book is Wolverine Back in Japan, Huff. Standard hardcover. Thank you. Please tell me it's worth $100. Chris would buy. Oh, Gwenpool's got an Unlimited comic.
We need another Gwenpool ongoing. She hasn't been in an ongoing for years now.
No, just the Unlimited. And the S. Jeff book that I sent you, the comic book, that was also an Unlimited.
Yeah. Kelly Thompson, we love her.
Oh, it's Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You sent me that, right?
Yeah, they did a second issue, and I think at some point it'll get a trade paperback.
Okay.
But there's so much, like Peter says, that it's gonna take a while. I don't doubt that some of them will get collected, but I am doubting 127 parts of X-Men.
But divided by 4, so it's really only 25 issues. So they could just do one trade, one thick trade. I think that's what'll happen. Actually, I think all of them will just come out as like phone book sized complete collections in like 2 or 3 years. I no insider info, just a wager.
Okay, wait. This is Hunt for Wolverine, Death of Wolverine. I know you don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. We can talk about them.
I do.
I think there's stuff before that, though.
I can't wait to talk about them, Jess. He's barely containing himself.
Oh dear, thoughts. I have Dark Wolverine, the Prince, and and Dark Wolverine, My Hero.
Yeah. What did they collect? Like, which one's first?
Dark Wolverine.
It's going to be after Wolverine
75, 77.
Yeah.
Wolverine 73 through 74 is in the Prince, and then Dark Wolverine 78 through 81.
So, as always, let me fly in with some context here.
Okay.
We had a Wolverine series in 2003. Adjectiveless Wolverine, right? It started as a Marvel Knights title. The first 19 issues are written by Greg Rucka. Then it goes through a bunch of different writers. Some of the stuff's not even in continuity, right? It's where Wolverine Enemy of the State was published. It's where Old Man Logan was published. In that period, they launched another Wolverine title, Wolverine Weapon X. That's where Jason Aaron begins writing Wolverine. Also, at this same time, starting in 2006, branching off of issue number 37 of that 2003 title, Wolverine Origins launches, which is Daniel Way writing all of the a series that I love that no one else loves. I'm the number one Wolverine Origins fan, I think, on the planet Earth.
Cool.
As we established with Omar on Sunday night. So, basically there's 3 Wolverine books happening all at once. And there's even a crossover between 2 of them just to make things crazier. So then Marvel simplifies things a little bit in 2010. Wolverine Origins wraps up. Jason Aaron gets a new Wolverine volume in 2010, which starts with the Goes to Hell arc, which starts immediately after Second Coming, but they don't cancel Wolverine 2003. They actually just change the Indicia title to Dark Wolverine and then do one more arc of it, or maybe two, that stars Daken, Wolverine's son, who we meet from Wolverine Origins, taking over the book. Then Daken gets his own title, which he continues. It's also by Rob Williams, just continues. So the thing is, Daken doesn't really tie into what's happening in the rest of X-Men other than he pops up in X-23.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's kind of just like kept at arm's length through that whole period. I don't think the X-Men even know he exists.
The name just came to me, Madripoor.
Yeah, it's very magical. I love it. But again, bisexual murder son, to me, that's all new and all different. So I'm into it. It's a whole new facet of the Marvel universe. But yeah, so those Daken books, it's so weird because he's not in X-Men. Like you kind of read him anywhere.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess I would put it after Second Coming.
Yeah. Do you have the X-23 books, Jeff?
I have NYX in hardcover, and then I have the X-23 complete collections.
Okay. Are those?
I also have Trial of Gambit. I also have Emma Frost. I also have Rogue complete collections. They're in the other room.
Yeah, I don't know if Peter wants to get into those then.
I'll get into whatever you want to get into.
Well, they're in the other room.
If we're really splitting hairs, all of that Daken, you know why, Freddie? It kind of matters because Daken is in Utopia. So the prince, okay, it's all coming back to me now, Celine. The prince has to be before Uncanny X-Men Dark Avengers Utopia, because that's how we know who Daken is. Uncanny X-Men Dark Avengers Utopia, in turn, is collected in a Fraction book. Which Fraction book is it collected in? Oh my gosh. It's collected in Fraction 2. So if we're really getting technical, we have to read Daken Prince before we read Fraction 2.
Okay.
Fraction 2. And Fraction is part of the Utopia run that you love so much.
I do. So technically it does matter. I talked myself into that. Then next Daken book, what is the next one? What's the next one that you had in your hand called after the Prince?
Hang on there, soldier, just a sec.
All right. Settle down.
Let me get this shelved. Okay. I had Empire, Dark Wolverine Empire.
No, there should be one before that that's called My Hero that you just had in your hand.
You are correct.
There goes My Hero. Watch him as he goes. So My Hero. Remember we had that Psylocke miniseries?
Yeah.
Put this right before that.
Okay.
Then Empire
is not worth anything.
Okay.
Right, just
worthless.
Read them, Freddie.
That's fine. Okay, Dark Wolverine, the Prince or whatever. Empire, Swift and Terrible, Origin 2. I have. Oh, sorry. Wolverine Origins, Swift and Terrible.
Oh, jeez. Let's just deal with Empire for a second.
Okay.
We're gonna put Empire directly before. I'm so confused right now, Jesse. Empire. Jesse. See, when I get really confused, I start calling you Jesse.
Oh my God.
We're gonna put Empire right after.
Call me. Sorry.
We're gonna put Empire right after that Wolverine and Jubilee book.
Holy smoke! Where'd I put that? Wolverine. It's going after Wolverine and Jubilee.
Yeah. So again, Daken, you do not need to be reading the X-Line. He really only pops in twice. He's part of Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers, so he's going to pop up in the middle of the 5 teens of Uncanny X-Men. So if you want to read a little bit of Daken before that, you can. Then the other place he pops up is he briefly crosses over with Marjorie Liu's X-23 2010 ongoing series. So if you're planning on reading that and you want to kind of intersperse Daken with it, it pretty much starts the same month and time. They're all part of the Wolverine Goes to Hell kind of relaunch of this Wolverine subline that had Wolverine 2010, X-23, and Daken all kind of launched all, and also Uncanny X-Force, all launched right after Second Coming. So it's one of those times I love when books launch all at once because it's easy to just say, like, just read volume 1 and then volume 1 and then volume 1 and then read volume 2 and volume 2 and volume 2. So it kind of like, you kind of just can shuffle it in with your X-23 read. If you want.
What was that? Sorry, I missed that. I have Origin, Swift and Terrible, and Origin 2.
Well, Origin 2 is like ancient prehistory, so you can put that at the far left. It's the first book. Origin 2 is like Wolverine running with wolves in the aftermath of Origin 1. It's by Kieran Gillen.
Yeah.
So it has Mr. Sinister in it, of course, as every Kieran Gillen comic book does.
Okay, I'm gonna need to move some things around. How about Swift and Terrible?
One Origins, but what?
I don't know.
What's wrong with you? Why do you only have one?
I don't know. I thought I had the Origin 1, and it could be somewhere else.
You know what probably happened? That Very Fine guy convinced you to throw it in the trash.
Very Fine was
Omar
in my house.
A vendetta against it.
He may have seen it.
He can't be trusted.
I know.
What issues are in that Wolverine
Origins 11 through 15.
15, right. We're gonna put it. Gosh, this is not going to be my best call through this whole night. We're going to put it right before X-Men Legacy starts for the moment.
That Origins book survived a purge if you upgraded to the Daniel Way complete trades.
True. That's a good point.
I can go over to where Wolverine is in a second.
I mean, if we want to get real picky, that Wolverine Origins book from 11 to 15 happens before Uncanny X-Men 470, which means it actually happens even earlier than I just said it would be. It happens before Messiah Complex.
Oh.
So does it go before Uncanny X-Men New Age? No, wait. Where did you say?
Actually, it would go right after New Age would be a good point. Or you know where you could put it? Right after, right before or right after the beginning of Childhood's End and New X-Men.
I'm sorry, you said before or after?
Well, here, let me get real technical. So Childhood's End starts in New X-Men 20 through 23. Wolverine then appears in New X-Men 24. Then Wolverine is in Wolverine 36 through 40, which directly follows House of M and shows him regaining all of his memories. Then he basically goes through the whole 15 first issues of Wolverine Origins. So is it important to have read Wolverine's brief 2-page appearance in New X-Men 24 before you read Wolverine Origins, or to like break up your Childhood's End read for Wolverine Origins? No, I would say it is not. To me, Wolverine Origins comes right out of House of M. So personally, I would actually put it directly before Childhood's End.
Okay. I can do that. Oh, things are getting a little tight here. Okay. Whoop. I just hit the dictionary somehow. It's weird. Oh, and I hit that too. Hey, Hayden. Okay. Wolverine Logan. Brian Avon. Eduardo Risa.
I think that's World War II.
World War II, yeah.
So that'll be the second book on your shelf following Origins 2.
Okay.
Good book.
It is Very funny. He is in Japan in that one, even though in World War II he's in Europe.
Your two favorite books: Death of Wolverine, Hunt for Wolverine.
So
Okay.
these are two very different things. Freddie, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah.
You like it more than me.
That's a stretch. Hunt for Wolverine, you can put that with the all-new X-Men by Hopeless, like right after, because this is when Marvel teased the return of Wolverine, but never explained how he came back. This is going to be a theme.
This is Death of Wolverine?
No. Hunt. Talking about Hunt.
Oh, where does it go?
It would go after All New, Hopeless, Extraordinary X-Men, and what was the other one? Uncanny by
Uncanny. Okay.
by yeah.
Ooh, good. I have room there.
Okay. Now,
Okay,
that's
and
That's how
then
shelves start to go bad. Once you start putting things where there's room, that's when things get. That's
uh,
when you wind up with this nonsense behind
now-
you. Right?
now that Wolverine would go after Axis.
Yes, because Wolverine is still alive in Axis, and then a second volume of Wolverine and the X-Men begins in I want to say like late 2014. No longer written by Aaron, the
And
writer, written by Jason Latour. So Wolverine's necessarily in that. Then he goes through his death. It's written by Charles Soule, but it actually comes after all of the Paul Cornell 2 Wolverine series, which I haven't seen in your collection. They're putting it all into one omnibus, though, in a very handy turn of events a little bit later this year. So
the Cornell stuff?
Cornell and Death all together. Basically, all of Wolverine and Marvel now, one except for Savage.
And it's so annoying because the first Paul Cornell run didn't get a thick trade, but the second one isn't the prelude to Death of Wolverine. So
Yeah, that makes no sense.
And it also doesn't have Wolverines, so I don't know how they're gonna collect that post Death of Wolverine stuff and how they're gonna collect like how are they gonna do those modern edits?
Hey, that's great, but I'm trying to place this book right now.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Death of Wolverine
I'm just
after
happy to not be the one who's gone off on a tangent for one time. Just
Where
one
does it
time.
go?
After Axis. I'm so sorry. Just
That's it.
I would actually put it. I mean, if
Oh,
we
where
really
you
want to
put-
split hairs, that Storm series does have a tie-in to the Death of Wolverine.
Storm Axis.
So-
Okay.
yeah, but if you
So
put,
let me.
but
think
if you
about
put
that
it
for a
there,
second.
then Jess is gonna read the death. Then he's gonna come back in Axis.
Right,
Right.
I know. Hold on. I'm trying. The machine is calculating right now. Give me a minute. So the Storm issues that tie in are Storm 4 and 5. Actually, maybe we do want to move Storm after Axis.
Ooh.
Ooh, controversy. Okay, Storm after Axis.
So I think we're going to go Axis, Death of Wolverine, Storm, because Death of Wolverine's not really going to spoil Storm.
No.
Okay.
But you will know that Wolverine died in issue 4 of Storm, so you probably want to read it before that.
Okie dokie. Now we get to the colors.
Yeah, are we done? Everything but color?
Yep. I mean, if you want me to go over and wait, let me just take a quick look and see if anything matters. I have all my complete collections together.
Yeah. Do you have the Gambit complete collections? Because
I believe I do. Let's see.
Oh, well,
I
I haven't
have
seen any
X-Men.
Gambit by James Asmus. That's a good series.
I have,
so good.
let's see, Elektra, Emma Frost, sorry, Rogue, the complete collection, Wolverine by Rucka, Gambit 1 and 2, complete, Mystique, Ultimate Collection, X-23, complete collections.
Oh, are we really going down this path, Freddie?
No, I'm just telling you what I have.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Because those
I'm-
X-23 complete collections very much fit onto the shelf. But complete collections are hard to put if you're playing the shelf order game because they collect so much material and so many different series. You know, like the only way to do this perfectly is with single issues. And even single issues sometimes happen
and even then,
simultaneous
it's
to each
not.
other. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave them where they are
Yeah.
as complete collections with Ghost Rider that gets a freaking omnibus as soon as I find the volume 1 that I needed.
but just for the sake of sharing, X-23 would go after Schism, and it would end like as soon as it ends, it goes to Avengers Academy.
I have Avengers Academy. Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's next book.
Well,
Oh my god. Okay, where should we start? Where should we start?
Although after Avengers Undercover, no. Which one's the one that they kill at all the Avengers Academy?
Arena.
After Arena, it goes into All New X-Men when
right, because X-23 is in Arena, and then she comes back and isn't. Yeah. All right, Jess. So here's how we're going to deal with the color era. First, we're just going to pick out all of the X-Men blues.
Okay.
And what's the farthest right thing we've put on the shelf at this point?
Farthest right would be Hunt for Wolverine.
Okay, this will go after.
Well,
I mean,
X-Men Blue starts in May of 2017. Hunt for Wolverine is in 2018. Technically, it happens kind of in the middle of Blue.
I think Kane's right. This is my best stream ever.
But here's the thing. I don't want to split up the color series to read Hunt for Wolverine that adds nothing.
How very dare you? You're just gonna ignore it. But then I would put Hunt for Wolverine after the color series because it's closer to Rosenberg. Right?
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Because, okay, so here's a way to think about it. Wolverine is not back yet during Resurrection of Jean Grey, or else he would have had the meeting with her in the White Hot Space instead of Old Man Logan. So it's almost like you would read you would read all the way up to the Return of Jean Grey, then read X-Men Red, because again, if Logan was around, he would be with Jean. Read Hunt for Wolverine. Peter. What?
One note. He was back before this. Because he shows up in all those tease books at the end of single issues.
Yeah,
so he has been back for over a year before he actually joined the team again.
Yes.
so really.
But then all of those Hunt issues happen in the summer of 2018. Because I remember reading them, and it's like 5 or 6 months before just assembled.
Yeah. Like just to be clear, everybody, Hunt for Wolverine is not the resurrection of Wolverine. This isn't his grand return. This is a bunch of teams looking where the hell he went.
Yeah, you remember Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Imagine it's all the people looking for Carmen Sandiego. Carmen Sandiego is not in it. The Hunt for Wolverine has no Wolverine. It's like they're seeing the negative space he's leaving in the world because he's back, but he's too big of a deadbeat dad asshole to just call up the X-Men and be like, I'm back. And so they're kind of looking for the shape of him, like an absentee father that he is in the Marvel universe.
And then it gets retconned by Dugan.
So, where does X-Men Blue go?
We're going to put X-Men Blue for the moment until we get real stupid. We're going to put it before Hunt for Wolverine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like what you said about putting it in between the two eras.
Yeah, it's one of those books that you could read it exactly where it goes because it's got Storm and Jubilee and stuff, but actually it's going to be more satisfying if you read it as an act break. Sometimes you got to break the reading order a little bit just to give yourself a good reading experience.
I'm going to need to move my Krakoa books for a second.
Technically, Freddie, Hunt for Wolverine kicks off right after the wedding. So it's parallel to Mr. and Mrs. X, and it's during the last 2-ish arcs of Blue. If we're really going to split hairs.
Okay.
But again, I do not think we should split hairs.
Wait, is Way of X in Trials?
Is a Krakoa book.
Yeah, it's in Trials of X, right?
That means nothing to me.
Okay, I'll figure it out.
I think so, Jess.
Okay,
Legion of X is in the.
Legion of X is in the books?
No, it's not in the anthologies, but I think Way of X is.
Right. Okay, that's what I think too.
I just don't think in terms of the anthologies because I was reading them as single issues. So when people are like, "Oh, it's in the anthologies," I mean, it's in my guide. I clearly know the answer, but in my brain, I'm like that. I don't know.
there's only so many ways you can keep how to organize them.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the idea of a Krakoa reading order is just so daunting. I know people out there have them. Douglas Wolk did a really good one. I know my friend Thomas, who I talk to a lot on Twitter, is following one right now, but it's just a massive amount of very interconnected comic books.
Oh, it's
you really can't even read it a trade at a time because it's really woven together. So, well, that'll be some future stream. Okay, so now we got to figure out where to put the rest of the stuff in the color stack. So, Freddie, I think the next thing we should place is the Soul Astonishing series. I don't know. What do you think?
Sure.
All right, so that's Astonishing X-Men, technically volume 4. It started in 2017. That kicked off actually right at the start of the color series, but it has a bunch of characters that cut across a lot of different books in it. So the question is, do we want to read it before Blue or after Blue? I think we want to read it, well, because it kind of brings, I think we want to read it before Blue.
Yeah. I think we should put Blue like as the very last color, just because it goes so well with Extermination. Like the very last page of Blue leads into the beginning of Extermination.
Well, again, if I'm gonna like super split hairs, yeah, I think we should just put Astonishing X-Men before Blue. So here, let me. I'm getting into wonkiness. Let me frame it for the people in the comments who are like, "What the heck is going on?" It's Marvel, all new, all different Marvel. We're after Secret Wars. The first year and a half of it happens. Civil War II happens. Inhumans versus X-Men happens at the end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017. That resolves all of the books, the X-Men books that launched at the beginning of this post-Secret War period. All of them are canceled. None of them have continuing number.
Yeah.
In the April or May of that year, there's a book called X-Men Prime #1, and then begins the Resurrection era, which I also call Color era, because it starts with X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold, and later adds X-Men Red and X-Men Black. So the two flagship books are X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue. Both of them were on a bi-weekly ship schedule, which means there was a new X-Men flagship issue every single week because each of the two books was bi-weekly. So if you look at those books and you're like, how did they get to 36 issues between May of 2017 and November of 2018? Because they were each double shipping. And so over the course of 18 months, they managed to ship 36 issues each. However, those were not the only two books that started that era. There was also Weapon X, which mostly starred Old Man Logan, who kind of came out of those other books. No, I guess he was also in Gold. And also a new Astonishing X-Men. They kind of kept up the idea that Astonishing X-Men was the prestige title. It's like the cool X-Men title. They had Charles Soule, who was pretty big at that point, writing it. And this 12-issue arc at the beginning of Astonishing X-Men brings back Professor X. He doesn't really go anywhere after they bring him back. They kind of just keep him in their pocket up until Krakoa. But because it's this big prestige book and all 12 issues are one big arc, you kind of can just read it as like a slam bang opening to this whole era, because it doesn't really like flirt with the continuity of other books. All 12 issues happen all at once. So we could split hairs like, oh, maybe somebody who's like in one panel of that is somewhere in Blue. I just don't think it's satisfying. I think you just read Astonishing X-Men first. It's good. It's really cool. It's really cool art. If you love Proteus and you love the original Proteus saga, you will like it. If you like Shadow King, it's like really kind of like very second year of Chris Claremont coded. It has a lot of plot hooks that are from Uncanny X-Men, like 115 to 128. But it's got Bishop, Archangel. It's a very modern team, and it's like a cool team. It feels it's like Claremont year 2 with a team that would have been X-Men 1991, but in the modern day. Very fun read. Now, there is one more arc of Astonishing X-Men afterwards, which I saw in there, which is part of the whole like Rosenberg thing. So we're not going to deal with that right now. So on the shelf, we have those two Astonishing X-Men by Soul, and then we have all of X-Men Blue.
Correct.
Okay, what else is in the stack? Let's go.
X-Men Black.
Somebody in the chat is not liking that John
this
Shuletsky. One. So
it's wild.
Before Blue is wild. They both started at the same time. Yeah.
John,
I want to know.
Explain yourself,
because I don't have a strong opinion on it.
Yeah, and Peter, you explained marvelously why you should just read one at a time, because one was bi-weekly and the other one is monthly. Like, there's just no way to put it issue by issue and it be satisfying. Or
Right, it's
trade
one of
by-
those things that, like, in the course of 12 issues of Astonishing X-Men coming out, 24 issues of Blue came out, but the Astonishing issues all happen within like 5 days. So it's like, well, do you assume that 5 days happened before Blue, or do you assume it happens after Blue? I think there's a very good argument, to your point, that it all must happen like after Venomized in Blue. But I'm just thinking about Jess's reading experience right now, and it's like, I just can't think of anything in that Astonishing run that's gonna spoil Blue, because Blue is mostly like Magneto, the young team, Polaris. It's like, I don't think any of them are in Astonishing.
No.
But I see you. There is an argument to put Blue Astonishing at between like Blue volumes 5 and 6, I guess. I think it just comes down to a matter of taste on this one, honestly.
Let's see. Phoenix Resurrection. Oh, how about X-Men Red?
So Phoenix Resurrection. Freddie, you want to talk on that for a moment while I do my math?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That one was before a particular Jean Grey comeback book, but I can't remember which one it was.
So Phoenix Resurrection is kind of like X-Men Red Volume 0 in a way. And it has a huge cast of X-Men in it, like from like all over the X-Men universe. And so there we kind of do have to split hairs with where it goes in terms of Blue, because it's coming out of Blue. So there are some characters in it that come out of one of the middle arcs of Blue. So I think we could put it after Blue Volume 3. Which maybe isn't called Blue Volume 3. It might just be called Mojo Worldwide. Ultimately, let's say we can put it before Blue Volume 4.
Let's see. Blue Cross Time Capers, and then Cry Havoc is number 4.
Yeah, let's put it before Blue Volume 4.
Yeah.
And I think, if I remember correctly, I didn't get rid of X-Men Gold. I think I bought X-Men Gold, and I think it's sitting in a short box in the closet, like deep
I'm wrong.
in
I want
the
to put it
vault.
before Blue Volume 3. I forgot that Mojo Worldwide doesn't have a number. It's before Blue Volume 3.
Volume 3. Okay. Where will I put X-Men Gold when I find it?
I mean, hopefully in the trash can, but
I'm pretty sure I bought it, but I think I was so embarrassed that I just left it in the short box. Okay.
So Freddie, just like thinking like shop talk here, I think the way to math this all out is probably Bishop, because Bishop is in Astonishing and he's in Jean Grey, but he's not in Blue.
Okay.
But there's people in Jean Grey that are in Blue. So I think if you kind of set up a reading order for Bishop and figure out where he is first, since he's in less of the books, then it might make sense. But I mean, it's wild. No, see, some reading guides that I'm seeing online are saying that Return of Jean Grey happens before Astonishing X-Men, which is friggin' crazy.
Huh.
I don't know. We're just gonna have to agree that Peter doesn't know the answer on this one.
I cannot accept that. It goes where it goes. Right there. I have X-Men Red, Extermination, and X-Men Black.
So we're gonna put both of the reds pretty much after Blue, wouldn't you say, Freddie?
Yeah.
It starts like at the very end of Blue. So there's really nothing to gain from trying to intersperse them.
Waging Peace. Okay.
So Extermination, to me, as you've alluded to, Freddie, is kind of the gateway to that end Rosenberg era. So I often want to read Extermination as if it's the end of all of the colors. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to put... Now, where do we want to put Extermination in terms of Death of Wolverine? I would put it just after, personally. Or not Death of, Hunt for.
Before.
Yeah. Before Hunt, yeah.
Extermination.
Before Hunt? Okay. I mean,
Before Hunt?
Sure.
I mean,
it didn't sound like you're convinced.
Let's put it after. Yeah, let's put it after.
I mean, this stuff is really getting into hair splitting, which I am literally doing, as I'm trying to focus in my mind palace. I have my mind palace of all these single issue covers that I'm trying to like sort through.
Yeah,
how about
a character that would help us know the definite answer is Cable, but he is not hunting for Wolverine.
No, he's not hunting for Wolverine. Yeah, it's tricky.
X-Men Black?
We're gonna put it right before or right after Extermination.
Before.
You sure?
Yeah, so this is one of those things where like we could get real technical about the reading order, but you kind of got to go off vibes a little bit too. And it's like, I think the vibes is kind of like all the color stuff. Extermination is kind of like then what comes after Extermination. Technically, we could probably find a better order for them, but I don't know if that's going to enhance your reading experience.
No, especially that Black is just a bunch of one-shots. It's not
Yeah, it's not like, and it's all villains just doing like one-offy things. Only the Emma Frost one relates to anything else, and the Emma Frost one has to happen after Blue ends because she's in the end of Blue. So it's like Blue, Red, Black, Extermination.
A Hunt for Wolverine?
Blue, Red, Black, Hunt for Wolverine, Extermination.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is how it is.
Even though Hunt for Wolverine, if we're gonna get technical, happens earlier than that, but we're choosing not to care.
Yeah, I do not care. Let's go for a hardcover here.
A lot of people in the chat, when they're talking about putting where we put Astonishing, said flagship comes first. Here's a bold statement. Astonishing was the flagship. Try that for size.
You know what's the thing about colors? I think the flagship is really whichever one you prefer. Like, this is one era I can see
whatever
that.
color you want to paint with.
Exactly. Like, if red that comes after Blue is your flagship for this era, go for it, because they're about to get wiped clean and it's not gonna matter anymore.
Yeah. But I think that's a good point with Gold and Blue. Like there's an argument for just reading them back and forth, or there's an argument for like, well, what to you is the main book? Is it the Kitty Pryde X-Men being X-Men in Gold, or is it Magneto and the kids in Blue? Whatever one's the main book, just read that one. You know, like sometimes vibes matter more, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Disassembled.
All right, so now we're past Black, we're past Hunt for Wolverine, we're past Extermination, Disassembled.
Yeah. And before Disassembled goes Multiple Man.
Yeah.
Multiple Man. Okay.
We're gonna go, is it Dead Souls and then Multiple Man, or Multiple Man and Dead Souls?
Oh gosh. Dead Souls after Multiple Man, I believe.
All right, let me look.
Because technically Multiple Man goes like in the color era, but I'm choosing to put it afterwards because it really doesn't connect with anything, and it goes and it leads into what is going to happen in Disassembled.
Oh yeah, and it kind of Rosenberg. So again, let's take a step back and like actually talk about what's happening here.
Yeah,
there's kind of two themes dovetailing here, right? So the color era is like trying to give you really bold, identifiable pillars of X-Men books that you can just follow, which honestly, as a publishing plan, ain't bad. And that lasted for like a year. But during this year, they have Matt Rosenberg kind of like building the strains of what is eventually going to be this huge crash of a lot of different concepts together in this kind of end run of Uncanny X-Men that happens during the Age of X-Men and just before Krakoa, where basically all of the other X-Men are getting dismissed to alternate realities, and the X-Men core really kind of just becomes Wolverine, Cyclops, and a bunch of extant New Mutants. So Rosenberg is kind of building up the plot threads that are going to turn into this as the color era is wrapping up, which is what New Mutants Dead Souls is. It's kind of him like starting to play the symphony that will lead up to that, right? It's the overture. And so Dead Souls, I loved it. That was one of my favorite books that year. I think it's a really, really fun take on New Mutants. I'm a big fan, but it's like trying to intersperse it with the color books actually doesn't really help you, even if you catch a couple of appearances back and forth, because what it really is a prelude to his stuff. So if we're going to really split hairs, we can do Dead Souls. Dead Souls technically starts happening before Extermination.
Yeah, but we'll put it after.
We're going to put it after, and it's Dead Souls and then Multiple Man.
Yeah.
And how about, I noticed you just mentioned the Age of X-Men.
Okay, well, that
alternate reality doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly. This is an alternate reality, but let's just explain.
Go for it.
Let me go back a little bit. Disassembled was actually supposed to be like the X-Men Brain Trust era. It was supposed to be Matthew Rosenberg, who ended up taking it completely over, Ed Brisson, who stays somewhat involved in the X books, and Kelly Thompson that gets completely pushed off. And part of why people think this happened is because of Age of X-Men, and Hickman was coming over and he was gonna demolish all of history.
Right, at this point, Hoxpox is being drawn. Like, they needed
Exactly.
so much lead time to get all 12 issues of Hoxpox, House of X, Power of X, to come out on a weekly basis, that at some point that this is happening, the X office knows full well that Hickman is coming in and doing Krakoa. And so they're basically playing for time for like a whole 8 or 9 months to like let the lead time happen that needs to happen to make the Hickman books occur. So it's very kind of like, what can we do in a bubble that we can like have an X-Men book for sale every week that's going to make sense. So they kind of close down this color era. They kick it off, as Freddie just said, by bringing all the major authors that are still writing the books, which is Prezan, Thompson, and Rosenberg together for this first 10 issues of Uncanny X-Men 2018, which is this X-Men Disassembled. It came out like weekly or bi-weekly. It was like all of X-Men, everything big happening. Then smash cut, they all get sent to an alternate reality in a very, very similar circumstance to the way that Age of Apocalypse started. Except
for Cyclops and Wolverine that were supposed to be
and a few New Mutants. Right. Yeah. And so then Rosenberg keeps writing Uncanny X-Men with Cyclops, Wolverine, and a couple of New Mutants while this whole alternate reality nonsense is happening in all the Age of X-Men books, which is why there's no other X-Men in Rosenberg's X-Men. It's just Cyclops, Wolverine, and this like handful of New Mutants who didn't get sucked into this alternate reality. For as far as everybody knows, they all died.
Yeah. So the reality is you can put all those Age of X-Men after Disassembled, because it really happens. The first issue of Disassembled, X-Man knocks at the door and he takes everybody.
Well, by the last issue. By the last issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's X-Men Disassembled, then
Age of X-Men, and then let's put the Endless Summers and Cyclops and Wolverine volumes 1 and 2 after.
See, I would argue it. So here's where I say flagship first. I think that you want to read the Rosenberg stuff first because it's this illusion that all the X-Men are dead and you don't know what's going on with them. Then they all kind of pop in the last 2 issues. Jean kisses Cyclops. It's like, whoa, everybody's back. And you're like, well, where the fuck were they? And then you like go and read all of Age of X-Men and go, oh, that's where they were. But you could do it either way. Freddie and my way, both, they're interchangeable. You either read all of Age of X-Men and then Rosenberg, or all of Rosenberg and then Age of X-Men. But they don't interact at all because Age of X-Men is a totally separate continuity.
I like your idea. Put them after.
And I was specifically told not to get these books, and I got them anyway.
Well, more fool you.
I mean,
I'm going to read it and be happy.
Leah Williams series is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff like
Extremists. I love Leah Williams. I think she's a great writer.
Absolutely, stunningly, one of the best. Like, she gets it. Kind of writers on an X-Men of all time, focused on Jubilee, Psylocke, and Blob.
Yeah, and just show that cover that you're holding, just the one with the Age of Apocalypse one. Yeah, like look at that hippie apocalypse. How is that not fun? Like, it's so dumb. All of Age of X-Men is so dumb. It's so dumb. But if you enjoy this type of series,
And actually, as you read it, it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of the opposite of Age of Apocalypse. It's a fun bookend to Age of Apocalypse. It's like Age of Apocalypse itself begets Nate Gray, this X-Man, right? And Age of Apocalypse was a dystopia. And that he comes from a dystopia. So then this bookends that by saying, well, if Nate Gray then decided to make an alternate reality, he would make the complete opposite of the Age of Apocalypse. He would make a utopia, a place where everything is perfect for mutants and everything is perfect in general. But then Nate Gray's version of a utopia is like really, really wild and actually kind of a dystopia based on his beliefs. For example, I think he's asexual because holding hands is verboten in the Age of X-Men. 2 people hold hands and it's like cue the snipers. So it's a different kind of utopia. And from that perspective, if you really love Age of Apocalypse and you understand who Nate Gray is, it's actually it's the complete photo negative version of the Age of Apocalypse.
So, Jess, Wolverine and
we've
Cyclops.
we've
then Age of
overwhelmed.
X-Men.
Jess is full up to here with X-Men.
I don't even know where I am now.
It's those 2 trades you're holding, and then that stack of trades.
So this goes first,
Yes.
Yeah. Technically, they
Uncanny-
all come back for like the last issue,
and
but like
does it get
flagship
placed
first,
after disassembled?
Yes.
Okay.
And then Hickman. We're there. We made it, Joe. We did it,
Well,
Joe.
I still got a couple other things.
Oh, okay.
They were in the color pile.
Oh, that's true. I did make him throw a bunch of crap into the color pile. We still have Brazon X-Force.
Yeah, and X-Men Legends.
X-Men Legends it's just an anthology. Like there's nowhere safe to put it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just put it after Age of X-Men.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what else did you say you had there?
X-Force Sins of the Past, Shatterstar, Reality Star.
Shatterstar.
That Shatterstar book is. Let me think about that.
Shatterstar is basically alone, and then Longshot appears. But since they don't have any other appearances, like throughout all these 2 eras, put them like just before the New Mutants book. Before New Mutants and Multiple Man.
And then I also have
No, it's
Generation
after
X.
Extermination.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's after Extermination.
Oh, so after Extermination, but before New Mutants. It's technically it's after Dark Souls 6. He's in Dark Souls 6.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, but it's like I don't know that it's going to make it satisfying to read it there. I would put it after Multiple Man, but
Okay.
we're splitting hairs.
No, I dig the hairs that are split.
And then that X-Force book kind of just runs alongside the Brazon. So, Freddie, would you want to read it before or after the Brazon?
Which one?
X-Force. Or, I mean, after Rosenberg.
Okay.
Like, it happens at the same time.
Yeah, put it after Disassembled, but before the 3 other trades.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Okay. We are nearing
I'm trying to think of anything that happens in X-Force like matters to anybody outside of X-Force. I think it stays very self-contained.
For the most part.
Yeah, like none of them hop over to Uncanny X-Men. They all kind of are just...
Dupe is in this.
They do at the end, but, it's the end.
Oh, we forgot about Generation X. So Generation X is like the very beginning of the color era. And so you could read it probably like after the first 2 trades of blue.
Okay.
It's happening simultaneous to those 2 trades, but there's very little crossover of plot.
Oh my gosh, we're ruining my color scheme.
Well, again, there's a strong argument for color era of just reading each pillar as its own pillar. They really don't interact very much in that era. The whole point is that they're each just a title you can follow. There's one crossover between gold and blue, and otherwise they all kind of just keep to their separate lanes.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. X, Rogue, and Gambit.
So that starts after X-Men Gold 30, which since X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue pretty much happen at the same pace as each other, it happens after X-Men Blue 30 as well. So I think we could just safely put it entirely after X-Men Blue. Freddie, my question is, does it come before or after Phoenix Resurrection?
Oh gosh. I think the first, which one is it? Rogue and Gambit goes before, and then Mr. and Mrs. goes after. But we're not gonna split this series up, so we're just gonna put it all after a Resurrection.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
We might come back and tweak sometime later, but
tweak. I got your tweak.
We've been tweaking for 2.5 hours
I know.
at this point, Jesse. We are tweaked out.
Okay, I'm gonna have to set this.
That
down.
Mr. and Mrs. X series, by the way, has my all-time favorite X-Men villains, Gatecrasher. And
I love this book. I read this just out of the blue, and I understood and loved it all.
Kelly Thompson.
Yep.
Nobody does it better.
I'm gonna have to unhook here. Just a sec.
Wait,
I think we did it. I think we're there. I officially don't care about anything that's left in the stack.
This goes after X-Men Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, it's probably happening at the same time as the last arc of X-Men Blue, but Rogue and Gambit don't factor into X-Men Blue at all, so there's no benefit to trying to like shuffle them together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the reality is anywhere before Extermination, I think you're golden.
Yeah, because then do Rogue and Gambit go to Age of X-Men?
Yeah, because they're not in the main.
I can't remember if Rogue is there.
Okay, we're down to the last bits. X-Men Summers and Winter.
Oh, that goes before Wolverine and Cyclops.
Yes, it's like the prelude to Wolverine and Cyclops.
Yeah, after this.
Wait, where did that go? Wolverine and Cyclops.
After Disassembled.
Summers and after Disassembled. It's like a bunch of one-shotty issues and an annual that kind of like are the last setup for what Rosenberg's about to do. Rogue doesn't. I don't think Rogue goes to the Age of X-Men, but I can't prove it because I just don't remember.
What? Where did this go?
Oh, after Disassembled, before Wolverine and Cyclops volumes 1 and 2.
Wolverine and Cyclops. Oh. Before. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
It said Uncanny X-Men, and I wasn't getting it.
Oh, my bad.
No. You're not wrong. Let's see what happened to my sound. Okay.
Are we at the bottom of the stack yet? My voice and attention span are waning.
Oh, I'm ready for bed.
Yeah.
This is Domino, which I read separately and loved.
It launches at the start of the color era, right, Freddie? So it's like kind of one of the pillars that you just read when you read. Would you read it before or after Blue? Doesn't really matter.
No, it really doesn't. Like, even her team doesn't have any other mutant.
Outlaw's a mutant, isn't she?
Yeah, but she's not.
But she's not like a mutant. She's not like a
exactly.
Okay, what am I doing in this?
I think just put it before Blue, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to think if anybody from any other book turns up in Domino in a way that matters. And I just don't think they do.
I'm not listening to you at this point. I'm just going to
Morbius. I mean, it has like
right
Morbius. It has Diamondback.
Peter, John answered why we don't remember Rogue in Age of X-Men.
Because she was already dead in the Age of X-Men universe, right? She was like one of those people that was lost. We all know that I barely pay attention to anything that's in an alternate universe. So here's the thing about Domino, though. Like, the only real ramification of it is that Domino is in that X-Force book. So you've got to read it before X-Force, but there's literally no connection between any of the Domino stuff until she pops up in X-Force. So it's like
the X-Force Sins of the Past thing.
Yeah.
So you got a whole year and a half of books to read Domino before she matters in another book. I don't think she's in Extermination. I think she like only is in X-Force.
I think she was in a few pages, but nothing major.
Yeah. So I mean, you'll have read that, long before you get to Extermination.
My will to live has evaporated.
Yeah, but here's what I want to say though: like, people who insist this is the only way to read X-Men are crazy. This is why I don't have a reading order for this era. I think it's a bad idea. This is an era where each of the books just reads on its own. And if one character happens to pop up in another book, it's just a nice Easter egg. And as much as everybody wants to be like, no, I want to read it in a perfect order, it's not Krakoa, it's not Utopia. It's this color era is like, pick a book, read it. Pick another book, read it. None of them really spoil each other. None of them really interact with each other, except for those 3 issues of Red and Gold or Gold and Blue. And it's kind of multiple threads. There's the Rosenberg thread, the blue thread, the gold thread, the Jean Grey coming back into red thread, and they're all kind of their own thing. So you might not ever see me do a reading order for this era. I'm literally against the idea of trying to put it in an issue by issue reading order. I think it's dumb.
Yeah. No.
And that's reflected in how Freddie and I just put it on the shelf. Like, we're not trying to split hairs between these series. It's not fun. It's not rewarding. You won't get anything from it.
Yeah, because I think that's the major thing. Like, it's about having fun. Just got a comment like a few days ago when he did the Devil's Reign Omnibus overview that it was like, oh, I don't like the mapping of this. I'm like, there's no way to map it other than just having all the miniseries like go on its own. You can't put it issue by issue. But all of us have gotten so crazy after the Spider-Verse OHC that had the reading order and everything is mini by mini. Like, it's a perfectly acceptable way of reading that event. But everybody went nuts, and then they forced Marvel to reprint the Spider-Verse omnibus like in that order. It's like, guys, calm down. You can definitely read it anyway. It doesn't matter. You'll be spoiled so little.
Amen. And that's not always true, right? There are periods of books that matter greatly. Hickman's Avenger, anything Hickman, the order always matters because Hickman is a fan like we are and thinks that way. Like, but then there's other Bendis is like that too. Bendis often like has a very explicit, he knows where one character goes to another, but not every writer is like that. And just, or not every event is like that all around one writer's book. Like if you were to ask Chip Zdarsky, does it matter where you read Devil's Reign X-Men in terms of Daredevil? I bet Chip Zdarsky would be like, no.
It
just doesn't matter.
In fact, Chip has one of my favorite answers about this. When Jason Aaron asked him about World of the Realms, he has Daredevil basically filling in for Heimdall. And he asked him like, oh, hey, you're starting your Daredevil run. Does this fit anywhere with your run? He's like, no. He's like, oh crap, what? He's like, no, don't worry, do it because it's awesome. Forget about what I'm doing. Just have Daredevil. It makes no sense. Go for it. Like, it's comics. It's fun.
Yeah, and I think, and I think that a lot of people in the chat, I see this recurring theme of like, oh, this is why X-Men is too hard. Like, we're doing this because it's fun and because Jess has these books. Nobody's telling you have to do this to read. We could, now that this is in order, go down the shelf and I can make you the pitch for why each book on the shelf is a great book to read, independent of the books on either side of it. Like, this is only if you are a total crusader and you have all these books and you want them in explicit order. Nobody's saying you have to do this to like X-Men or to appreciate X-Men or to be a real X-Men fan. All you have to do to be a real X-Men fan is hate half of all X-Men comic books. The half is up to you. It's choose your own.
Well, we did it. You organized my X-Men, dude. Both of you. Thank you so much for helping me. This has been
you'll get my invoice. The payment terms are net 30.
Is that in New Zealand dollars? Can you send me those single issues?
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. And Peter, when he recovers, has an ace up his sleeve. Do you want to tell the people what volume 3, episode 3 is going to be? Because this is a 3-part series. Oh, you forget?
I had a great pitch. I had a great pitch for what episode 3 was. What was my pitch?
I can remind you, Peter, because it's something that me and Max have been doing for a while.
Oh, well, if Max is involved, I'm sure it's going to really make my brain explode. What did I say episode 3 was going to be?
Basically, it's I can't believe I'm reminding you your own idea. You're going to tell Jess what other X-Men books he's missing and what's about.
Right. We're going to zoom in tight on the shelf and we're going to go through the shelf and be like, ooh, you know what? Like, this era, you really could read to like complete this. And it might turn out that just has it like an omnibus or like a complete collection. But I think we're going to go through and talk about, we're going to zoom in one block at a time. And we're just going to talk about like, what is the overarching story and what's missing, if anything. Yeah.
And it's, the FOMO
I was just hoping you weren't going to say Krakoa. Like, please, God, don't make me put Krakoa in reading order. Anything but that.
No, it's the FOMO episode. That's what you called it.
I do remember that I pitched the 3rd episode would be the FOMO episode.
Yeah.
Make Jess buy more books.
Yep. The hard to find out of print books that are probably 12 years old by now or 20.
Marvel Unlimited is the thing, y'all.
Yeah. I may do that.
I already did that for you with All New Dupe, and it wasn't expensive at all. You never know.
It's true.
But then there's other cases like Juggernaut. That's much more reasonable.
Yeah, that's an expensive book.
It's going $30-$40.
Yeah.
For the Juggernaut series from Krakoa?
Yeah, the Fabian Nicieza, because it's not in the anthology.
Oh, because it's not in the anthologies. It's a really fun series.
Yeah, it's a great Marvel Unlimited read.
Something that I think I might do, my grand return to my channel, if I can figure out a way to do it, is I want to do a definitive ranking, the Krisis ranking of every single Krakoa era title from my least favorite to my favorite. And there's 50 plus titles, so that could be fun.
That could be really fun. That's what I'm starting now that I've organized everything. Old stuff. I mean, I know the FOMO episode is happening, but now I can start. I finished House of Swords of X or whatever the hell it was called, and now I can start. Boom, finishing the Krakoa era with the anthologies and everything else, hardcovers.
Sometimes it's fun to have like one long reading project that you know you can always come back to in between like all the new books, or if you're getting single issues, or what my long-term project that I've had for over a year. And whenever I get bored or I have free time, I come back. So I'm reading all of Batman starting immediately pre-Crisis. I'm like still another 2 years from Nightfall. But anytime that I actually have free time, I actually am not late on a guide or late for a stream or late for 100 other comic things or on the top of my normal life. I sit down and I read like 5 or 6 Batman issues. I think I'm up to like 1991.
That's awesome. We have Vision likes the FOMO. Edwin is appreciative of shelving books. I appreciate that. Quinn Miller with a super chat. What's the best way to collect X-Men? That's the name of the show.
So look, I mean, real talk, Quinn. I really think it's you read a couple little samples of different eras and you decide what really resonates from you, and then you make like a beachhead in that era. So do you like hard sci-fi, weird X-Men? Do you like Grant Morrison? Do you like it's totally funny and like a TV show X-Men? Is it astonishing? Do you like X-Men really dark with their backs up against the wall, and then you're going to read Messiah Complex or Utopia? Do you just like X-Men as close to the cartoon as you can get it? And you start with X-Men 1991. And I think once you find that part of X-Men that really like resonates with you, then later you'll find reasons to love the other things. I compare it to like if you have a musical artist with a huge catalog. I mean, I take the Beatles, although I think that's only 213 songs and I know them all by heart. But like, you don't have to start with the first Beatles record. You don't have to start with Please Please Me. You could start with Middle Beatles. You could start with Sgt. Pepper's. You could start with Abbey Road, even though it's at the end, and be like, wow, how did they become this? And then go back. I think reading X-Men, because it's so broad and there's so much of it and there's so many different tones and authors who have done it, I think it's just like that. It's getting into the Beatles, getting into Kate Bush, getting into David Bowie. Where do you start David Bowie? My favorite artist, hugely influential on me. Do you start with Ziggy Stardust? Do you start with the Divorce era? Do you start with Tonight and the 90s or the 80s? Do you start with Drum and Bass Earthling in the 90s? You start with the David Bowie that sounds great to you. Some people started with Black Star when he passed away, and then they found their way back to 40 years of David Bowie music. So I think X-Men is the same. Don't let anybody tell you there's only one way to do X-Men. Don't let anybody tell you there's only one way to start X-Men. Again, to wrap this up, I started on Chris Claremont's final issue, literally the worst starting place in all of X-Men, the end of the era. And I'm the X-Men fan now that I am 30 years later, literally over 30 years later. So I think you start with what looks great. And then
the greatest David Bowie song is Can't Stop Thinking About Me. Thank you.
Ooh.
That's a whole other... I have been listening to that nonstop. Gosh, I love that song. That's one of my pump up songs when I'm feeling low energy. I listen to that and I'm like, yes, I can do this X-Men readathon with Peter now. I need to go listen to it so I can go up and have dinner.
Oh my gosh, you haven't even eaten yet.
No. Let's see. This was a fun stream. Thank you.
And I came here after 12 hours of work.
I don't know how you're on your feet. This is midday for me and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, and I didn't negotiate this job. This was passed to somebody else that didn't pass it to me. So I'm alone there with no boom op, and I'm holding 40 pounds of sound gear plus the pole. I hate it. They lied to the person that said, oh, this is mostly pictures. Bullshit. There's almost 20 pages of script.
Wow.
Okay,
your life is wild. I love hearing
it. Really is.
Stories.
This is James' worst idea ever. I don't know why I'm highlighting this. This is not.
I've never read it. I read Death of Superman, and I was a monthly collector at that point because I'm ancient.
Right, same.
My hair looks. But I've actually never read Nightfall. I just wasn't in Batman. I would only buy a Batman book in that period if Poison Ivy was in it. Anytime Poison Ivy was on the cover, I have that issue. but that's the only Batman that I read because I am a man of what taste.
Yeah.
Poison Ivy rules. G. Willison's writing got great Poison Ivy.
I can't wait to read it. It's like, oh my gosh, I just have to get caught up on Marvel. I'm so close, and then I'm going to read it.
Oh, it's so good. Here's a question for you. We're winding down now. Is there a writer that has never written X-Men that you would love to see write X-Men?
Freddie, do you have an opinion on that?
I don't have a great one because I just want Colin Bunn back.
Oh, Colin Bunn. I mean, there's, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you kind of have to look at like, I would love James Tynion to write X-Men. I hope, but he's too famous now. Like, I really was hoping that when Hickman was leaving, that Tynion hadn't blown up quite enough, and that Marvel could back up a dump truck of money to his house. I do think eventually he'll do it. Like, it'll be like 10 years from now, and it'll be like, oh, I want to go and play in the Big Two sandbox again, and they'll get him back. But I think Tynion is probably my number one. Oh my gosh, the X-Men would just be mind blowing. Ram V, I would really like to see Ram V in an X-Men book. I don't know if he cares, but I think Ram V just has such like a bold, huge vision for what X-Men should be. I think Ryan North should be writing a young X-Men book. I'm hoping he's going to be the writer of maybe X Factor NYX in this new line. I think Ryan North is his Fantastic Four right now is some of the best Fantastic Four that's ever been written. I really would like to see N.K. Jemisin write X-Men. I think taking a Hugo and Nebula award-winning sci-fi author who did a fantastic run on Green Lantern Far Sector and letting her play in X-Men and really just giving her like a 12-issue prestige series and say, go nuts. I think that could be really, really cool. So yeah, I think it's a lot. For me, it's a lot of people who've been doing a lot of DC lately who haven't like made the jump to Marvel. A lot of people who've been in the Batman and the Green Lantern sphere. I think it would be fun to see them on X-Men.
I saw Tiny Onion at Awesome Con in 2018, and I was complimenting him on his detective run, the rise and fall of the Batman.
I'm obsessed with.
And I said, this book is so great. I really, because at that time I could just go right up and talk to him. He didn't have a huge line like Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Yeah. And I just walked up to him and I said, I really love this book. And he said, it's like my own X-Men book. They just let me play with.
He did Batman as X-Men.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, it's like my own X-Men book. They let me do what I want with the characters.
One of my most embarrassing ever online. Oh, Wind. Yes, I have it right here.
Oh, I do too.
I didn't know there was a shirt.
Oh, he sells a couple of shirts. I have two of them.
I need them. I don't care how much the international shipping is. I will pay it. I'm obsessed. Yeah, I like low key am in love with James Tynion. Like I have an intellectual crush on him because I just think everything, even when it's too weird and it freaks me out, I just think he's such a genius that I just am obsessed. I had one of my all-time most embarrassing creator interactions online. It was early in my comic book Twitter, and I wanted to tell him how great I thought that same detective run was. And so I just Googled one of the issues because I wanted to get the cover, and I pulled the cover from Google image search, and it was from one of those read comics for free online pirate sites. And I like tweeted at him with image with their big like read this for free yar pirate logo, being like, I love this run. And this is from me who's like religious about like buy all the books, and I'm like, oh my god, I just like emailed this person that I'm to indicate that I was pirating his book, which I was not. Comicology made it so hard to save images from books that I just went to Google. So I still deep in my soul cringe that that's the only time James Tynion has ever noticed me, and it makes me want to die.
That's such a great question, and I want the chat to answer in whatever minutes we have left. Like, who is your intellectual comics crush? Because mine is Kelly Thompson. Like, I have no idea how she looks like, but how she writes, she's so hilarious. Like, I'm in love with that woman. I don't know who she is.
Ever since she used to write on CBR, if her column went up, I was there that day. Have you read, did you read the book which she did with Matea de Ulis, The Cull? It is messed up. It's so cool. Yeah.
And I have her two novels, and I have her two novels of Uncanny X-Men signed by her, even though she leaves the book.
Yeah, I'm like straight up obsessed with Kelly Thompson. Again, great brain. Crush on her brain. We're not talking about objectifying people. I just want their brain.
Right. We have a crush on their writing.
James Tynion a little. He's looking really good right now, but I'm not.
Lost a lot of weight. He's done really well.
Nonstop.
He's got like guns. I'm not just talking about weight loss. He's like really looking like.
Were you following when he was trapped in that cabin writing like 16 issues?
Yes!
It was a selfie an hour.
I love
I'm not
it.
even joking.
I wish I could go be locked in a cabin and get something done, but all the work that I do involves the internet. What would I do? I guess I would read Nightfall.
Oh God, please don't do that. Kate says this was the greatest stream ever. There was Jess, Peter M, Freddy, Queen Lily, the cat, Freddy's Cats and Doggo. It had everything.
Maybe there should be a regular Omnidog Krisis and Freddy stream.
We can
Maybe
talk
that
about
should be like
anything.
Maybe that should be like a once a month special edition.
If you guys have the time, I have the channel. I'm happy.
Clearly, I'll make the time for you because tomorrow I have 12 more hours.
Oh
my God.
I don't know how you do it.
I'll put these 2 plugs in. Omnidog sit. You know the drill, everybody. Thank you.
Real verve and excitement for your. Put it. I'll do the plug. Put it up again. Here we go. Ready? Folks, if you really want to order books from a place that cares about the quality of books, both the quality of your reading experience and how good the books you get in the mail, you want to go with organic price books. This is somebody who started up their own business to say, like, screw those big guys. You can be a small business owners and serve the community that you love and are a part of. And that's what did, or is it JP? Sorry, did with organic price books. You're shopping from a small business. It's somebody that we've all been friends with for years. And he's really going to do all that he can to get you good books in great condition that you want to read today. So go to organic price books, use code Omnidog and get 5% off shipping 4 more books together if you do Omnidog Sit, which is what Jess has been doing for 2.5, almost 3 hours now.
Man, James, please clip that so I can use that every show. That was amazing.
I got his name wrong though. We do a couple takes. You know, get it.
I don't know. That was pretty spot on. Kane's in for a Jess, Peter M, and Freddy live stream. I think the fans are demanding it. No, be quiet, Huff. I didn't mean to do that.
No, I totally identify with that, Huff. I completely am with you.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Win Shirts. Is that where you got it, Freddie?
From
Tiny Onion's shop?
I'm literally ordering one right now.
Are they available in different colors?
Yeah, there's a gray one that has a different thing on. I could actually look for it. I'll be back.
Okay.
My thing is I love getting shirts. Oh, I wish I had this handy because I would show it on the screen. I love getting shirts from like small indie artists and getting them super, super big, like 2XL, and just having that be my like around the house dressing gown shirt. So you probably will never see me on a stream with it, but I just wear them constantly. There's this amazing illustrator in New Zealand that I've met a few times at like craft fairs called Pepper Raccoon. And she just does these awesome, like grim, like trash raccoon, trash panda type things. Or she has this shirt and I got it. It says big death energy. And it's just this giant skull. And but it's like, and I just, so this is, I'm going to get some of the Tiny shirts and add them to my repertoire.
Yeah.
I love Something's Killing the Children.
I do.
I love the first arc of House of Slaughter. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
What's that one from, Freddie?
This is Blue Book.
Blue Book.
Blue Book.
Oh, yeah.
And
I reviewed that, I think. The
like, what's it from? Oh, this book that I
well,
reviewed.
no, it was the one with the couple that he did.
Yes.
It was called Blue Book, yeah, and then the new one's 1947 or something.
Yeah. And then this is the
All
other
right,
one.
well, I'm ordering some shirts right now.
Which was that, Freddie?
This is the other wind one. Like I have this yellow one, or gold one, and then this gray one.
I think I want to get it with the logo.
Does it say wind? No.
But the one you're wearing says it,
Yeah,
right?
this one says it, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I want to get.
There we go.
All right, Jess.
Well, I can't tell you how much this means to me, to both of you, that you gave me your valuable time, 12 hours at a rum factory. Then you come on the show. Peter M goes absolutely amazo on all of, you know what's interesting? And I'm going to point this out, and I hope I don't do damage to you with this observation. You are so articulate and so polished. There are no uhs or ums in anything you say.
I think if you were to run this back, you would find plenty of
I don't think there's any pausing where you go, I think that should go there. I think that no, you are so polished. It is so great to have you. I know how valuable your time is because you've got a super tight schedule. This meant everything to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you both so much. And thank you to the chat for hanging in there while I did the selfish thing of having two people organize my books. That's like the most selfish thing I've ever done. And I've done a lot of selfish things. So peace and love to everybody. Thank you all for watching. Thank you both for being here. It means everything to me. And I will play us out with my theme song. And peace and love to everyone, because this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Peace and love.